The world is changing so rapidly that what they teach you in school is out of date long before you graduate. It might have been outdated before you started. When you graduate, you are in debt, but still not equipped to succeed in today's job market because the lessons you've been taught are no longer practical. Your future success will not be based on outdated concepts or theories that don't address today's ever-changing business climate. It will all come in the form of effective, easy to understand, and thorough online educational content, which can be absorbed anywhere and at any time. You don't have the luxury of being able to try and fail, repeating over and over and over again until you find some success. You need answers that lead to the success that you deserve. I'm Haroun, and I believe that access to the right education is a basic human right, and you can use it to build any career that you desire. I celebrated a personal dream of mine recently. A global community of more than 1 million students across the world have taken my #1 ranked business courses online. Knowledge opens doors. Education is the key. That is why I've decided to host a very special live web class in order to set you up to reach your career goals as quickly as you possibly can in the modern workplace. During this class, we will identify the most important skills that you need for every workplace that nobody teaches you. Also, I'll teach you management characteristics that you can use to build winning teams for any business of any size. And I'll teach you a specific approach to investing to make sure you retire with as much money as possible. My mission is to transform education. And by the end of this web class, you will have 100% clarity about where to focus your efforts to achieve your greatest return. You will have the exact steps that you need to achieve business and career success. I will give you the exact approach to take to budgeting, investing, and portfolio management during the class. I know you're interested. I get questions in every video about this sort of thing. Now, I want you to be able to finally break free from feeling uninspired, underappreciated, and underpaid. So meet me on this date here for this very special live web class. Everybody attending will receive a gift just for showing up. And you'll experience the learning, the interaction, and most importantly, the fun. Trust me, you don't want to miss this awesome event. Sign up right now, and I can't wait to see you there. Thank you. Welcome to our 130th weekly webcast. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way the call works is this is an AMA, meaning you can ask me anything. You can ask me business questions. You can ask me personal questions. You can ask me career questions. And what happens is the call is 3 hours long. And by the end of the call, within an hour or two, what my wonderful staff do is they actually go through the call and they create a list of all questions asked and at what times. And then they put it in the description field so you can get quick access to all the questions asked, so I can save you time. So please enter your questions now in the chat there. And before we get started with the questions, I thought what I'd do is I'd talk about the current situation with the US dollar. So we all know that cash is trash, and it's the worst investment you can possibly make. In fact, one of my great students in my MBA program, Peyton, once told me that last year, the US government printed 25% more cash than they've ever had before. So the amount of cash out there went up by 25% last year. And one of the many reasons it did is because of this terrible COVID pandemic. And when governments are worried about the economic environment, what they do is they print more cash. And the way they do that is they issue bonds. What happens is they issue bonds or they sell bonds to change the money supply. And what happens is if there's more money, then the price of money goes down, meaning the interest rates. And so cash has always been an awful investment. And it's interesting because we've seen that over the years, United States dollar actually, it looks the same today as it did many, many years ago. The same thing with all major currencies. So this right here, this is an American dollar from dollar. I'm Canadian. We say it the right way, dollar, right? This is American dollar from the 1930s. It looks identical to the American dollar that we have today. And the American dollar looked like this back in the late 1800s. Doesn't look that different than it does from today. And back then it was based on silver. And the older American dollar from the 1930s all the way up until the 1970s, early 70s, was based on gold. So it was backed by gold. And then what happened was President Nixon in the early 1970s, what he did was he took the United States dollar off the gold standard. And it's now backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. And so what's happened is it's unfortunate because we all work very hard to make money, yet governments can print more of it. And what happens is your net worth actually doesn't increase in the long run. It can actually go down if there's deflation. So what people have been doing is buying any asset class other than dollars. And usually when the dollar and all major currencies have a very low valuation, meaning interest rates are low, then a lot of risky other asset classes go up in value a lot. And you're seeing that right now. A lot of the market's at an all-time high, even though the economy is not doing that well. Real estate prices continue to spike. All collectibles have gone up in value a lot as well. I've been collecting baseball cards since I was a kid. I take it to the next level now. I buy what are called PSA 10 ones. But this is a Roger Clemens rookie card from back in 1985. And it's been worth more to collect baseball cards from the 80s or before than it has been to sit on cash, because there's a dearth of supply on this, a limit on the supply of the number of cards that the Topps Corporation releases, unlike cash. And so all asset classes where there's a limit on supply have gone up a lot in value recently. It's because interest rates are low. And once the government raises interest rates again, when things pick up, then all of these asset classes, the risky ones I mentioned, will not go up as much in value, or they'll go down in value. For example, in the early 1980s, there was a big inflation scare. And so Paul Volcker, who was the Federal Reserve chairperson at the time, meaning the person in charge of raising or cutting interest rates, what Volcker did was he raised interest rates to 20% in the early 80s. It was crazy. And I remember my dad, God bless him, it was tough. He was starting his business in Canada, where I live, represent. And he had to actually get a mortgage that was 20% of the interest rate on, which is crazy. And in Canada, you can't write off the interest on your mortgage. So it was crazy, but he did the right thing, Volcker, that is, by raising rates. And I've actually got somewhere here a Deutschmark that I wanted to show you guys from the 1930s. I'll dig it up and show you later. But what happened was after World War I, and for a decade or so after that, in Germany, in order to try to improve the economy, they printed a lot more money. And cash was really trash for the Deutschmark in Germany, to the extent that you had to actually wheel in an entire wheelbarrow full of cash to be able to pay, or Deutschmarks at the time before the euro, to be able to pay for just a loaf of bread. And so even the Roman Empire, and I'm going to show you something that's going to blow you away in a second, but the Roman Empire actually failed, mainly because they printed too much cash. And in my hand right here, I went to Jerusalem in 2017 with my family. It was a great trip. And I bought a coin from the year 30 AD. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more on this. It's actually got Pontius Pilate on one side of it here. Yeah, it's tough to see. But Pontius Pilate's on one side. It's from the year 30 AD. And you'd think this would cost a fortune. It didn't cost a fortune. It cost next to nothing. Why? Because they made so much of this stuff back in the year 30 AD. So just remember that cash is trash. It's the worst investment you can possibly make. And I really believe what Warren Buffett says, which is you should spend after saving instead of saving after spending. And so the second that you get a paycheck, if you can, and I know times are tough, but you've got to take a certain percent out and have it automatically deducted out of sight is out of mind, and put it into your retirement savings account so that it can grow tax-free. If you don't do that, you're literally burning money or throwing it away. Okay, let me get to questions now. Thank you. All right, give me 1 second here. Get all set up. And I tried something a little bit different today, as you can see. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to push the goalpost out. And so I've started using what are called DMX lights and DMS fixtures. And so what you can do is, I still haven't perfected this, you can get these lights to actually move. And in order to do this sort of thing, you have to change the frame rate a bit on your with your camera. And if you don't do that, what will ultimately happen is people will start to see streaks. So I was playing around with this a lot here. Let me see if I can actually show this to you. Here we go here. Yeah. So when I was setting up this morning, you always hold up a card with white on it. And you see here how I can see the number 80 right here. That's how you know if things are in focus, right? And so with DMX lights, you can change the lighting as well by clicking on pedals, which I hook up kind of like their keyboards. And you can make it more dramatic lighting if you want to, meaning light on one side, which is what Martin Scorsese does quite a bit with his amazing movies. What you can also do is you can change the background lights so that they're different colors as well, or turn them off entirely. Okay, I got rid of that annoying thing in the background there. And with DMX lighting, what I've also done, and let me show you what I mean by the frame rate and refresh rates. So you see in the background how it's streaking a bit. Reminds me of that movie with Will Ferrell. We're going streaking in the quad. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to make sure that you change the shutter speed so that it matches the lights. Because what happens with a lot of lights is, in order for light companies to save money and for us to save money, we buy these lights that actually turn on and off really, really quickly. And that's what LED lights are. So let me get rid of that from the screen. Now, what I've also done is, and I'm preparing for a big webinar I have tomorrow. And if you want more details, go to harounventures.com. But this webinar I'm doing tomorrow, I'm trying to give an experience and less so a presentation. And so what I'm doing is I'm experimenting using, I probably shouldn't go there, but I'm going to anyway, using what they use at raves, which is a fog machine. And let me just turn it on to warm it up. And I'll show you how it works in a second when it's all warmed up. And it's kind of dangerous, has to be a little bit far away from me. But I'm trying to show that cash is trash in tomorrow's presentation when you pay for a traditional MBA by using fire in here and whatnot. So it's a little bit risky what I'm trying to do, but it'll be a lot of fun. So I'll give that smoke machine a second or two to warm up. And while it's warming up, what I'll do is I'll move on to questions and get a sip of water as well. All right. That was me buying time. Okay. All right. So first question we've got here is from one of my favorite people, whose name is Peyton. He's in my MBA degree program, and Peyton is in the U.S. Navy, based in San Diego. And he's got a great vlog channel, so check out his vlogs. He's just getting started. He's awesome. He's edutaining as well. I'm a big fan. So Peyton is saying, good morning, hope all is well. A couple questions from a Ray Dalio interview I watched. Now, before I go there, let me tell everybody who Ray Dalio is. He is the founder of Bridgewater, which is the largest hedge fund in the world. They have way over $100 billion in assets. He's based in Connecticut. I've had a lot of friends that have worked there, and the performance has been great. Ray has shared with all of us a lot of his principles over the years. He's published books on what made him successful, etc. But I'm always very objective with this webcast, and so I always want to be fully transparent with all of you. I've had a bunch of friends that have worked there. The turnover rate's about 40% per year, according to my friends. And also, every single phone call and every single meeting is recorded if you work at Bridgewater, except in the bathroom. Literally, which was Fonzie's office. I'm dating myself from Happy Days. Yeah, it's kind of uncomfortable, but I guess it works for him. It's nothing I could ever do. But anyway, so Ray Dalio is saying that diversification in fiat, if the dollar collapses, hold on a second. Oh, my God, he's saying diversify in fiat. Wow, meaning cash. But if the dollar collapses, doesn't everything? Yeah, I'm really surprised he would say that. Yeah, I mean, especially with interest rates basically being close to zero in most major economies in the world. Yeah, I don't agree with that, with what he said. You're right. That does seem kind of strange. And then you wrote here, he said it is likely that Bitcoin could get banned in the United States. Is that likely in your opinion? And what happens if it does? Yeah. So the problem with cryptocurrencies is cryptocurrencies are not regulated by any one government. They're regulated by the laws of mathematics. And so when you invest in a company, and this is the Facebook IPO prospectus from 2012, an S1 filing. But when you invest in a company on a major stock market, you can get access to these big books here, which are written by lawyers and investment bankers, which highlights what the company is and discloses all the major risks, or most of them. When it comes to cryptocurrencies, because they're not listed on any regulated exchange like the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ, what happens is cryptocurrency companies do not have to create documents like that. They're not regulated. And so when you're doing research on cryptocurrencies, a lot of people will read just the white paper, which is usually a 5 to 15 page PDF that explains more about the cryptocurrency itself. If you want to learn more about cryptocurrencies, you can take my cryptocurrency course at learn.harounventures.com, or what you can do is sign up for my MBA program, as I have a much more up-to-date version of all of that stuff. Now, in my cryptocurrency course, and when I teach about cryptos, I provide you all my students with a framework of 49 steps to look into how to do research on cryptos. And it's similar to the steps that investment bankers use to create these things. Now, I believe, and I've always said that cryptocurrencies are probably the biggest threat to national security in most countries. And the reason I say that is because the biggest weapon that countries have is the ability to print more money. And if you think about it, governments don't run like a business. And so in order for governments to survive longer term, what they have to do is they have to issue bonds. And I have some examples here. And when they issue bonds, and this is this is just a railroad bond from the early 1930s, and there was a coupon on it people would rip off as well and take to the bank to get payments, like a dividend, so to speak. If there's no coupon on them, they're called zero coupon bonds. But what happens is governments create bonds, and they sell bonds to the public, to you and me, all of us, and to big institutions. So if you buy a bond, which is like a debt instrument from a government, what happens is you give money to the government, you get a bond, which has an interest rate, right? There's got to be incentive for you to invest. The government takes the money, uses some of the money to build bridges, not walls, defend themselves, etc. And then they take the rest of the money out of circulation. So what's happened is that money is out of circulation now. And because there's less money out there, demand for money goes up, meaning interest rates go up. Okay. Now, think of it this way. If governments didn't have the ability to issue bonds and to change the money supply, then they couldn't defend themselves if, God forbid, there was a war. And so, hypothetically speaking, if we assume that everybody bought cryptocurrencies instead of fiat money, like US dollars or whatever currencies there are around the world, if people did that, then what would happen is governments wouldn't have the same power they have now to be able to print money to defend themselves, etc. And so, yes, the biggest threat to national security for many countries is cryptocurrencies. I believe that most cryptocurrencies are a scam. That's right. But there are a bunch that are wonderful investments. And I've held a bunch of them, 4 of them actually, for years, and I'm never, ever selling them. I'll never tell you. I might have mentioned on a previous webcast what I own, but I want you all to do your own research, please. I believe in teaching somebody how to fish instead of giving them a fish. Teach them how to fish they can eat for a lifetime. Yeah. So, yeah. And cryptocurrencies have already been made illegal in a bunch of countries. Yeah. Yeah. And the problem is that there's also a lot of scammers out there. You would be amazed at the number of scam emails I get and scam messages I get on my YouTube channel of people trying to make money and scam others. A lot of people will pretend to be other people. Somebody pretended to be me for about a month and used my ugly picture and the same YouTube name as me to create a channel. And they were trying to get people to send them money for cryptocurrencies. I found out who that person is. A vlog is coming out very, very soon on that and how I found them. Instead of prosecuting them, what I did was I prayed for them to turn their life around, and I think they're going to. You'll see that vlog coming out in a couple of days. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then you wrote here, what if Bitcoin gets banned in the United States? Well, if it's banned in the United States, I think it's going to hurt the crypto longer term. Why do I say that? Well, because the United States economy, it's responsible for about 1/3 of the revenue on the planet, meaning 1/3 of global GDP. And so if you take a massive market like that with a couple 100 million people and you don't allow them to own cryptocurrencies anymore by law, I'm sure some still will. But if you try to ban it in a country like the United States, then demand is going to go down a lot for cryptos. Yeah. So yeah, I'd be surprised that happens very, very soon. But I do want to have some sort of regulation out there globally. Like I think it'd be great if a lot of countries got together, kind of like they did in Madrid in the late 1980s, as part of the Madrid protocol that honor each other's copyrights, trademarks, and patents. I think a lot of countries should get together and come up with some sort of rules for loose regulation of cryptos, meaning by law, companies that want to issue a crypto or do an ICO as opposed to an IPO, like we see here with Facebook, but by law, they should issue something that's created by lawyers that at least discloses a lot of the risks. Like whenever you look into investing in an IPO, what you should do is the following. You go to sec.gov, and then you type up the ticker. So the ticker on what I just showed you there was Facebook, okay, or the prospectus. And so what you can do is you can go and look at all of the filings for Facebook or any company that's going public. And what you do is you type in S-1, okay? And they just changed this website. It looks a lot nicer now. Yeah, so the S1, last 10 years, I guess. Let's see here. S1 for Facebook. What? Should be here. All right. S1. Yeah. Okay. Give me 1 second, guys. They just changed this website around here. How can I teach you finance if I can't find Facebook's S1 document? I guess what I'll do is I'll keep scrolling here. Yeah. No. Yeah, this is they've just changed this right here. So I'm going to search again. So I'm going to search for I'm going to search for all, and I'm going to search for the S1, which was back in 2012. So I'll start at 2011. S-1. Here we go. Okay, phew. Gosh, doing these things live, I get nervous sometimes, man. All right, so this here is the S1 document, okay? And then what happened was once Facebook filed to go public, they issued a bunch of amended ones. And so this version I have here is from May 3rd, which is right here. Okay, this is an amended version of the IPO filing. Yeah. So here's this here is the exact same document you're looking at there. Okay, and this here is the S1 filing, which means which means all the risks are highlighted here for this IPO. So what you do is you can do a Control F to find and search for the word risk. And there's a gazillion risks that come up you can read all about. You can read all about the company there as well. And I think that what would be helpful is if governments mandated that cryptocurrencies can exist, but there has to be some sort of filing process just to protect investors. And that's the way the venture capital, hedge funds, as well as private equity industries work in America. What happens is you can't invest unless you have a certain amount of money, whatever, and you're an accredited investor. Now, I'm not saying that to be able to buy cryptos, you should have a certain amount of money at all, but there should be some sort of accreditation that takes place before cryptocurrencies are allowed to be freely exchanged, I think, or regulation. Yeah. All right. So if you're just joining us, I was talking earlier about how I've changed the studio around here. I've added what are called DMX lights. And the great thing about DMX is you can daisy chain a lot of lights together to create dramatic lighting if you want to. Or what you can even do is you can hook up this. And this is going to scare the hell out of me, but I'm going to try and do this. See if it's going to work. Here I go. This here, and this is a prop for this is a prop for tomorrow. Woo! Goodness. And I even have a fan hooked up. And what movie is this from? Do not go in there. Woo! So anyway, I've got this big event tomorrow that I'm trying to prepare for, and I'm trying to do something a little bit different. I was a little chaser left over there, so I'll make a fool of myself like I always do. So laugh at me, folks, not with me, please. Okay. All right. Okay. Next up, Peyton is saying, how do they track cold storage? And what happens to companies like Tesla? Yeah. So great question, Peyton. So Peyton is asking about wallets. And so there's different types of wallets when it comes to cryptocurrencies. There's hot wallets and cold wallets. And the easiest way to remember this is a hot wallet requires electricity to keep it on. So a hot wallet is like Coinbase, which is a software-based wallet. Cold storage is a wallet. Whoops. Sorry. Cold storage is a wallet where you can store cryptocurrencies on a USB-like device. And it's called cold storage because it doesn't have to be connected to the internet in order for it to work. And so the question here is, how do you track cold storage and what happens to companies like Tesla if Bitcoin is banned? Yeah, per your question, yeah. So you can't really track how many Bitcoins or cryptocurrencies people own, especially when it comes to cold storage, because it's not connected to the internet. If you do leave a cold storage USB device plugged into the internet, somebody might be able to track it as well if they hack onto your computer. I don't recommend doing that. I always recommend unplugging your Trezor, Ledger Nano, digital Bitbox, or whatever cold storage device you're using. So it cannot be tracked unless somebody has the backdoor key. Now, the NSA created the security infrastructure that Bitcoin is based on, which is called SHA-256. And so I'm sure that certain governments the NSA is throwing smoke in my house now. I'm in trouble here. I'm kidding. I'm sure that certain governments have backdoor keys as well to be able to get access to and hack certain secure protocols. Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I did so much research on my my cryptocurrency course which you can access right here. That what happened was one day the NSA knocked on my door, and I was like, what's going on? I wasn't that nervous because I've never broken any laws, never will. I'm ethical, I think. And they came in, and basically the guy, and he was a really, really nice guy, but he was asking about one of my employees on the complete cryptocurrency course, somebody I hired to double check all my work. And they didn't say why, but I'm pretty sure they were looking to hire this person. As this person, I won't name him. No, I told you to him now. Sorry. This person was an expert at cryptocurrencies and cryptography in general. Yeah. That's how much research I put into my course. Yeah. All right. That's a bad idea, Chris. I'm not going to use this damn thing anymore, I tell you. Yeah. Okay. All right. But in terms of what happens to companies like Tesla, I don't know. There's no precedent for it, Peyton. One of the reasons Bitcoin has gone through the roof in the past year is not only because, as you educated me and told me, not only because the government, the United States, increased the amount of currency outstanding by 25%, but also because big companies started buying Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And instead of just sitting on cash and short-term investments, what a lot of companies have been doing is they've been sitting on cash and cryptocurrencies as part of short-term investments, and not just a little bit. Even companies like MicroStrategy, MSTR is the ticker, Saylor, the founder and CEO, he actually bought over $1 billion of Bitcoin. He's a reputable guy, and we used to call it micro tragedy in the hedge fund industry because sometimes Saylor, the CEO founder, refused to get on earnings calls, or partway in an earnings call, he'd say, "That's it, we're done," which is kind of fun. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what would happen. Yeah. Maybe they move it offshore. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Tesla would try to incorporate in another country. Yeah. All right. Next up, Peyton is saying, also, I have other questions, but I'll save them for MBA class office hours, which I have later on today. No, ask me now if you want, brother. Please, I'm here for you always. And you wrote, you were awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And then you wrote, take his MBA class, people. It's life altering. And hit me up on LinkedIn if you're on the fence and want to know results. Thank you, Peyton. I appreciate that. God bless you. God bless you. I've learned a lot from you, and I'm so inspired by my students. Thank you. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got Manas, who's based in India. Manas is saying, "Good morning, my dear mentor." Good morning, Manas. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Looking like a party scenario here. Yeah, I'm trying something different here. I don't know. We'll see. It might be short-lived. This thing scared the hell out of me. I don't know why I'm doing it again. But anyway, it's a prop for tomorrow's webcast I've got. And by the way, if you guys want to join tomorrow's webcast, what you can do, and I'm always trying to innovate here and not very successful today, to be honest. But what you can do is just go to my website, harounventures.com. And if you're watching a replay right now, it's the 25th of March, 2021. And you click here to reserve your spot. I'm giving away a free course, a bunch of prizes as well. It's going to be a short webcast starting at 11 a.m. Should be a lot of fun. And I'd love for y'all to join us. Yeah. All right. Okay. And then Manas wrote, just a suggestion, sure. Please make sure that you allow people to ask questions tomorrow on live chat. Last time you asked. Yeah. No, the way it's going to work tomorrow actually is, I'll show you this setup. People are going to email questions, okay? And I'll show you how I'm doing this back here. But I've got this short throw a monitor behind me here. And this is how they made the Mandalorian. And so, give me a second. Those are just my chicken scratch notes there. But the Mandalorian, what they did on Disney Plus, that was just notes to myself. What they did on Disney Plus is they actually they used a screen behind them instead of using green screen. And the problem with green screen is that one of the issues with green screen is what happens is, and you saw this in the Captain America movie. You actually have a little bit of green on the outside of certain objects, like Captain America's shield. You could see that. And so what the market is moving towards right now is actually doing a short throw projectors behind you. And so usually, like this is a projector here. It's a couple inches away from the wall, right? So it's actually a pretty amazing innovation, and it's now much more affordable than it used to be. But what I'm doing tomorrow, Manas, with the presentation, obviously this won't be up here either, is I'm getting people to submit their questions to support at harounventures.com. And the reason is because we get a lot of similar questions. And sometimes I answer stuff that people ask questions about as well during the call. And so basically, what I'm getting people to do is I'm getting people to email support at harounventures.com, and I answer all the questions. And my team goes through and they sort all the questions. I answer all of them live. If more questions come in, we email people back as well. It's just an easier way to do it. Okay, let me turn off this back screen here. And this is pretty cool. Like this, a lot people will get these short throw things now to watch Netflix and anyway all that stuff. Yeah. Anyway, that's me and the rest of my family's accounts. Let me turn this off here so I can answer your questions. Get rid of the distracting lights. There we go. Put blue on the background. There we go. I like blue. Okay, cool. All right. And let me just All right. Next question I've got here. Is from Kuban Media, who's saying, hello, Chris. I hope everything is going well and all your family is healthy. They are. Thank you. They are. Everyone is good here. I had the opportunity to be able to get the COVID vaccine. I'm not going to do it yet because I'm not on the front lines. I'm not a real teacher. Teachers should go first. But a lot of people are getting it now, and the way you can get it early is you actually go to the you go directly to your doctor, and you tell your doctor that you have health issues and you're worried, so you can get it before anybody else does. But I think that's not something I want to do. So I'll get it in May when everybody else does. Yeah. Yeah, but everyone's healthy so far, so knock on wood, things are good. And my parents got it, which is awesome. Yeah. Okay, great. All right. All right, next up, Harsh is saying, what do you think about Cathie Wood? Is she the result of a bull market because before that her fund was providing negative returns? Yeah. I don't know who Cathie Wood is, but in general, one data point does make a trend. Over the past year, we've seen an unbelievable bull market, and people have quit their jobs and started trading full time. Please don't do that. This is not a normalized market environment. You can't make money by trading in the long run. I promise you. I know it's tempting, but it's kind of like me saying, I went to a casino one time and I made money. Therefore, I'm going to go back and I am going to make more money again. You can't, because you'll get fooled by randomness. So when you invest, and I pride myself on providing my students in my MBA degree program with a ton of frameworks or tools in their toolbox, so to speak. When you invest, the most important thing you can do is look at fundamentals, then valuation, and then a distant third is technicals. And technicals can help you get in or out of a stock if you want to, meaning if it's overbought or oversold. But I'm a big fan of Warren Buffett, who said whenever he invests in a company, he assumes the stock market's going to be closed for 10 years. He knows it's not going to be closed for 10 years. But what he's trying to articulate is the fact that he's a very long-term investor. When it comes to trading, every month has 20 trading days. You have to be really, really careful. Okay. So because you get fooled by randomness, stocks go up or down because of things outside of your control, like what Dr. Fauci might say, or what clinical trials might occur with a certain drug company, or a similar company to the one you invested in has positive or negative news to push the stock up or down, or there's saber rattling between big governments when it comes to trade wars. Just a lot of stuff makes stocks go up and down in the short run. We can't control it. Otherwise, we get what's called Fooled by Randomness, which is the title of a great book by Nassim Taleb as well. Okay. All right. And by the way, people ask me when is the signal to buy? Well, I like to buy when everyone's freaking out, when there's blood in the streets, which is something that Mr. J.P. Morgan, Piermont Morgan, said years ago. You got to buy when everyone's freaking out, and I'll show you the telltale sign for that. And it's going to feel uncomfortable for all of us too, but I'll show you. What you do is go to finance.yahoo.com, okay, and then what you do, and you put this on your watch list. Not to buy, but there's something called the VIX, which is it's a volatility index on the Chicago Board of Exchange. And it's basically a fear index. And what it means is it means how scared are people. And so you want to buy when this thing is at an all-time high or close to it. So let me show you what this means. Okay. Now, this, and let me actually go back and show you, let me see if I can go full screen here. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to go back in time, okay? So I'm going to go all the way back to, whoops. Now, this was actually created back in 1990, okay? So let me try to condense all this here. God, it's one of those days for me today, man, I tell you. Okay, here we go. Good. Yeah. So it was created back in 1990. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my face from this entirely so you can see what's underneath. But the VIX is a fear index. So it was created back in 1990. And you saw a little spike early on, just after 1990. The data here doesn't show you because of Gulf War I. Then this spike here, this is because the Asian financial crisis back in the late 1990s, 1998 to be exact. And I remember right here, this is when there was so much fear out there. I was working at Goldman Sachs that Alan Greenspan cut rates. It was a surprise. Back in 98, the market went nuts. Right here, this here is right here. This here is when the dot-com bubble almost burst. Let me get you better data points though here. Let me get more recent. But the all-time high was actually last March. Okay, even higher than in 2008. Okay, when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working. So right here, you see that reading of 82. Okay, that was March of 2020. That was the all-time high for the VIX. Massive fear, okay? And that's when you need to back up the truck. And it will feel so uncomfortable as well, I promise you. Yeah. But even if you go back to 2008 right here, it peaked at around 79 or so, which is slightly below where the VIX peaked last March. So you need to buy stocks and investments when everybody else is completely freaking out. That's the only way to make money, is to be a contrarian. Because if you buy stocks that everybody else likes, then what ultimately happens is there's not that many incremental investors to buy to push the stock higher. So just you be a contrarian and watch your net worth take off. Okay. All right, Harsh is asking, have I watched Three Idiots, the movie yet? I have not yet, but Kevin, one of my MBA students, asked me to as well. I will watch it. People keep mentioning that to me. I'll watch it. Thanks. Next question is, how much real estate do you own? I own a bunch. My grandfather, God bless him, he used to say, buy land, Chrissy, they're not making it anymore. And so I'm a big fan of real estate in the long run. But when you invest in real estate, you have to understand that these cycles are very, very long, okay? And it's the best investment you'll make, by the way, is real estate, buying your own house, because for tax reasons, you can get a lot of protection from the government, so to speak. But no, I've been buying buildings actually close to universities in London, Ontario, where I was born. Because university is somewhat counter-cyclical, and because the amount of money that the students pay in terms of rent more than covers the mortgage. Yeah, so I own a bunch. Yeah, it's the best investment you'll ever make is your own house as well. Yeah. Next question is, when is your course coming out on real estate? Later this year. Working hard at it. Yeah. Okay. And Harsh wrote, I love you. Thank you. How can I be positive like you? Yeah, no, thank you. God bless you for that. I appreciate it. So, like, I was very insecure when I was younger. and I used to pick careers and jobs because I care what people thought of me, and that was a really awful way to live. Um, if you're not comfortable with who you are, you're not going to enjoy your life. And then finally, I got to a point where I thought enough is enough. I don't give a damn what people think of me. I don't want to work on Wall Street or at Goldman just to impress people, because my happiest day whenever I switched careers was always day one. Like when I switched to the venture capital industry, I was ecstatic on the first day, and then it went downhill. Just I wasn't as happy. Same thing with venture capital. Same thing with consulting. Same thing with Goldman Sachs. And so I thought I was clinically depressed. I did. And then I realized the reason I'm not happy in my life professionally, I've always been happy personally. The reason I'm not happy professionally is because I'm not doing what I love doing. And so one day I just like Sir Richard Branson says, I said, screw it, let's do it. And I quit venture capital and I started to teach. And I never did it to make money. I did it because I wanted to help people. I believe that you shouldn't expect your dreams to come true unless you help others, accomplish theirs first. And I started teaching, and I stopped caring what people thought of me. I really stopped caring. And once you don't give a damn what people think of you, you reach this awesome level of happiness. It's like catching lightning in a bottle, or that feeling you get from holding your child for the first time. Now, having a kid is much, much better than doing something you love doing. But it feels a bit like that, where you don't get out of bed every day for work. You get out of bed because you just love doing what you're doing. You don't have a job, you have a passion. And so I love doing what I'm doing. I'm much happier now because of it. Another reason that I'm generally a happy person, and I've always believed this, is that I don't worry what's going to happen one day to the next career-wise, because God already knows what's going to happen. And that puts me at ease. It really does. And it takes a lot of pressure off me too. And I'm in the middle of watching a biography on John D. Rockefeller, who was probably the best business person in American history. He had a monopoly on oil companies, railroads, etc. And he lived his life the same way, right? He didn't stress out about work because he had that in the back of his mind that God already knows what's going to happen. Okay. All right. Next up, Manas is saying, I'm thinking of reading 200 books this year. I love your ambition, dude. Yeah. I'm thinking of reading 200 books this year, and I've completed 5 until now. What are you reading? Have you read the Snowball by Warren Buffett, who's the sage of Omaha? Yeah. I've not read Snowball by Warren Buffett. Yeah. In terms of what I'm reading, I'm not really reading any books right now. It's hard for me to find time. I have a bunch of books on audible.com that I've downloaded. I listen to every now and then, but nothing really. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, whatever he publishes, I'll listen to as well. Because when you listen to it, if you don't listen to it for a long time, you don't get lost because they're little bite-sized chapters. Yeah. Okay. All right. And Manas is saying, please do drink water. And that's one of my biggest faults is I don't drink enough water. And we are 60% water. So I use this here. And you guys should check out this product. I'm not, whoops, wrong pedal. I'm not sponsored by anybody, nor will I ever be. Here you go. But you can get a product like this. There's lots of knockoffs, and it has how much water you should drink at which times of the day. It's a simplistic, cheap little prop to help you stay healthy. And it's more important than what you eat. Water, yeah. Thank you. Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you for that, Manas. God bless you. I love you, man. All right. Next up, Peyton, who's one of my MBA students, said that the CEO of MicroStrategy said that you should measure inflation based on the cost of capital, which is measured by debt and bonds, and the S&P 500. Why is that? Yeah. So So what he's probably hinting at, Saylor, who's the founder of MicroStrategy, what he's hinting at is when you look at inflation and what the government thinks of inflation, if rates are increasing, hence bond yields, it's because the government might be worried about inflation, and the market is thinking the government is going to raise interest rates. And the best way to understand what interest rates are going to look like in the future is to look at what's called the yield curve. And so the yield curve basically prices for you what interest rates are going to be in the long run. And you can get it actually by going to the Treasury Department's website. Okay, so this is the United States government website. And you can map out what the yield curve is going to look like here. What you do is you put on the x-axis, this is in reverse, the x-axis you put time, and then the y-axis you put the interest rate. Okay, and so right now, as of, let's see, March 24th, the 1 month rate is 0.02, which is twice as high as it was back in twice as high as it was back on March 16th. It's irrelevant because that's just a small number. And then if you look here at the 30-year, it's 2.31%. And so what's happening is people are pricing in the fact that rates are going to go up in the long run. Of course they're going to. They can't get any lower. So what does a yield curve actually look like? Well, let me pull up just a random one here from Yahoo, or from Google, I should say. All right, and basically it looks like this. This one's a bit dated, but it doesn't matter what the date is. I just want to show you the concept. So right here, we could see with this yield curve here, this here is time, okay, number of years, 0 all the way up to 30. This here is the interest rate. So for this yield curve, and this is from years ago, 2013 or whatever it is, it showed that short-term rates were 1.6%, but the market was pricing in rates would be 3% longer term. And so people look at this yield curve here to be able to price what they think interest rates are going to be longer term and what U.S. treasuries or U.S. government debt is now and is going to be. And if you're a big company and you want to issue debt or a bond, the rates you're going to get are up here, right? They're higher because you're riskier than the U.S. government. The U.S. government's the last entity that will ever go bankrupt. So I understand what the CEO and founder of MicroStrategy, Saylor, is saying. You look at debt, you look at bonds. Now, in terms of looking at the S&P, that's a little bit of a conundrum why he would do that. He's a smart guy, though. But let me surmise and think about this. So if rates are expected to stay low for a long time, the stock market might go up a lot. And so maybe that's why he's incorporating that into his viewpoint in terms of what rates might be. Okay. All right. And Dummy Indices is saying, hi, Mentor. Hey, how are you? Hope you're well. And Peyton is saying also, once qualitative easing stops in companies that are only getting propped up due to quantitative easing, meaning QE, do you see another recession of people that lose jobs due to bankruptcy? Yeah. So the economy and the markets are always cyclical. Okay, so the economy grows, right? It's called a boom, bust, repeat, right? Boom, bust, repeat. Rinse, lather, repeat. And so economic cycles are quite often 10 years, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. But things will get worse. They always do. They always do. And so I think when we see signs of inflation and the government starts to raise interest rates, then that's a sign that the market might be turning over. And I fault the previous administration and the previous Federal Reserve chairperson for not raising rates when times were good. You have to raise interest rates when the economy is good. The problem is government officials are so short-term focused now. They don't want to lose their job. But if you're longer-term focused, as Warren Buffett said, the longer the view, the wiser the intention. What you should do is this. When the economy is doing very, very well, you should slowly raise interest rates. Slowly. Why? So that when the economy starts doing poorly, you can jumpstart the economy by cutting interest rates, right? You can easily cut interest rate. And I've got the best prop ever. I got to show you here. Give me 1 second. Damn it. I had this special gun that shoots out money. It's killing me. Getting ready for tomorrow. But anyway, what happens is I'll use real money here, or props. Oh, here it is. Here, sorry. This is worth the wait. Okay. So if I'm the Federal Reserve, and this is all fake money. Okay. If I'm the Federal Reserve, and things are bad, and rates are high, what I can do is cut rates. right? I can jumpstart the economy by cutting rates, right? And by putting more money into society. These are fake $100 bills, right? I'm out of money here. But I think you guys get the idea. I can cut rates over and over and over again. But I can only cut rates if I raised rates when times were good. Yeah. So I fault the previous Federal Reserve administration. Maybe they were bullied by POTUS. I don't know. And they're supposed to be a separate entity. I fault them for not raising rates when times were good. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. And next up, Peyton is saying also, if the economy does go into a recession, do you think people can pivot from old institutions to tech industries? Yeah. So the wonderful thing about capitalism is that economic Darwinism occurs, where old school companies or old school institutions, like universities, for example, they can get disintermediated and replaced by better, cheaper alternatives. And so I think that's going to happen with education. I believe that there's only 50 universities in the world that are going to exist by the end of my life. I think most are going to go bankrupt because there's no point in spending 4 years spending $100,000 getting an undergraduate education where you don't learn anything that's going to help you in the real world. You can do a lot of that online. And so just like how robotics and machinery help factories improve productivity, the same thing is happening with technology now to all major industries. You know, it's not just the hotel industry with Airbnb or the taxi industry with Uber and Lyft, whatever, but it's also education. It's also education. And when life gives you lemons, you make lemonades. And as tough as the past year has been, it's proved to us one major thing, which is we can all work sometimes from home, right? And be much more productive with less. And what ultimately happens is less bureaucracy longer term, and people are more efficient. Because the thing that I hated most about working in the corporate world was bureaucracy and inefficiency of working in an office environment. And I've got to show you this. I bought this for Christine, my wife, for Christmas a couple of years ago. It says, "I survived another meeting that could have been an email." And so you know exactly what I'm talking about here, right? That person that's trying to empire build in a big company. Yeah. But I think we can be much more productive with less. And that's what COVID has kind of proven to us over the past year, meaning working remotely, which is better for the environment. It's also better for your family life, etc. And my kids are still at home. It's crazy. They go to public schools. I don't believe in private schools for my kids, but they go to public schools and they're still at home. And they're incredibly productive at home because they learn online. They don't have to waste time walking to school, whatever it is. And they socialize online with their friends as well. We have a bubble of a bunch of other friends and families that we hang out with. And I'm going to miss them when they go back to school. And I think they're going back to school actually in a couple of weeks. Yeah. All right. And Manas wrote here, "I'm starting my second YouTube channel. I'll be interviewing a great entrepreneur once a week or even twice. Will you be the first great entrepreneur to give me the opportunity of interviewing you?" Sure. I'd be honored. Thank you. Yeah. I'd love to. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, cool. One more thing, Peyton, when it comes to technology and efficiency, Amazon Web Services is the most important software platform, so to speak, that's ever been created. And if it wasn't for Amazon Web Services, I think that inflation would be very high today. And let me explain what I mean by this. And so for those of you not familiar with Amazon Web Services, what happened was in late 2005, Jeff Bezos realized that all of the computers at Amazon could not fulfill all the holiday shopping needs at the end of the year. And so what Bezos did was he created 9 big buildings at the time across the United States. And in those big buildings, he put thousands of computers or servers. And he turned them on. And he was able to handle all the holiday shopping needs without Amazon's website crashing. That's how long-term focused he is. However, every January, Bezos was left with all of this excess capacity. And he and his right-hand man, a guy named Andy Jassy, who's going to be the next CEO of Amazon, they realized, well, we have all this excess capacity, all these other computers available that we're not using, and it's January. So let's rent it out to the world. Anybody wants to rent it, they can rent it. And so Netflix was the first big prominent customer, and then Dropbox. And so what happened was Netflix, even to this day, over 95% of all the computers that Netflix uses are Amazon's computers. And Amazon, what they did was they cut the pricing point of this computer time every quarter. And they cut the pricing point about 100 times, which is unbelievable because usually dominant industries that have a near monopoly, like Microsoft did with Windows, usually dominant companies in an industry, they don't cut prices, and they also don't innovate. And up until recently, the pricing point of Microsoft Windows was only cut 3 times, going back to the early 1990s. But Jeff Bezos has cut the pricing point of Amazon Web Services over 100 times since 2005. And the result has been incredible increase in efficiency because globally, a lot of great companies like Uber, Airbnb, etc., they all use cloud computing and Amazon Web Services to be able to offer us all of these amazing options and products at lower prices usually than the traditional system or the status quo. And so I believe that inflation has been kept in check partially because of Amazon Web Services. And it has the same impact that Walmart had back in the 70s and early 80s. And Walmart created this strategy of EDLP, meaning everyday low prices. And it's embedded within the DNA subfabric of Amazon to continually cut prices when it comes to Amazon Web Services. And that's very deflationary as well. It keeps prices low, which means governments don't have to raise interest rates. And I wrote an article in Wired Magazine and Venture Beat and a bunch of other places years ago where I compared Amazon Web Services to the Berlin Wall falling down. And so what happened was in 1989, when the late, great, my favorite president ever, Ronald Reagan, gave that speech in front of the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, in front of the Berlin Wall, he said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." And he went off script, by the way. And Colin Powell was his script writer at the time, was furious with him because, decades of diplomacy with Gorbachev, Russia, etc., and he talks about tearing down a wall. But it was brilliant in hindsight. And so when the wall fell, what happened was you had all this brilliant Eastern European labor that was cheap, moving west. And one of the biggest components when it comes to making anything is the cost of labor. And so that kept rates quite low throughout the 90s. And I remember Alan Greenspan, who was the Federal Reserve chairperson back in the 90s and the early 2000s, before Bernanke. Alan Greenspan, he came in and he guest lectured. He gave a speech I worked at a company called Citadel, and he was a keynote speaker once. And Alan Greenspan told us that the reason we had such incredible growth back in the 90s without rampant inflation is because the Berlin Wall fell. And the bottom line is, I believe that this generation's Berlin Wall teardown event is Amazon Web Services. All right, get some breakfast here. All right. All right. All right. Next up, Louisiana saying hello. Hey, Louisiana. Hope you're doing well. How do we distinguish between fake and real cryptocurrencies from fundamental analysis? Yeah. So the problem with cryptocurrencies is they're regulated by mathematics, or some of them are at least. They're not regulated by governments. And so when you invest in a stock, like this is for Facebook, what happens is governments make you create an S1 filing. Okay, which basically lists all the risks and tells you everything about the company. Now, cryptocurrencies are not regulated by governments. And so it's hard for you to be able to read a document like that, like an investment offering memorandum. And I don't think you should invest in anything without first reading an investment offering memorandum. Anything, okay? Or they call it a prospectus sometimes. But the problem with cryptocurrencies is they're not regulated, so you can't do research on them. And so my solution is that I created a course, which you can access here, called the Complete Cryptocurrency Course. And what I do is, and I have a more up-to-date version in my MBA program. What I do is I create 49 steps for you to analyze cryptocurrencies from a fundamental investment perspective before considering investing. And one of those 49 steps is to read and go through the white paper, which is usually between 5 and 15 pages, usually a PDF out there on GitHub or somewhere. Yeah. But there's 48 other steps. And to check out that course, please go to this website here. Thank you. Okay. All right. But what you want to do is you really want to look closely at supply as well. Like the great thing about Bitcoin is that there's a dearth of supply. There will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin out there by the year 2140. Yeah. So you always want to look at supply. And that's the same thing with all asset classes, right? Like, for example, I've got old and new US dollars here. I've got old Canadian dollars. And these are props for something I'm doing tomorrow, just a lesson. And the reason that these things have not gone up in value, I'm not just picking on Canada, the United States, but all currencies in general, is because you have no control over how much supply is going to be created of this stuff. And that's why older collectibles like baseball cards or comic books, they're worth a lot more than just holding cash because there's only, a handful of these things that are made. And it's gotten crazy to the point where people are also looking at virtual items to invest in, like NFTs or non-fungible tokens. And what that means is a piece of art or something virtual that has a limited amount of supply. And so for me, when I was younger, I collected baseball cards. I still do. I love baseball. But my kids, for years, they've been going to the NBA website and opening up digital packs of cards. It's virtual. And when I was younger, I owned a lot more toys when I was a kid than my kids do, physical toys. My kids, they don't have much in their rooms, but they have digital rights to stuff in the cloud. And so they grew up digitally, this entire generation. And so they're comfortable buying assets online that are virtual. Heck, they buy gems online where they sell their Clash of Clans accounts, so to speak, on eBay, and people pay hundreds of dollars for it. And so the next generation, which are the next consumers, next investors out there, they don't believe in just buying physical products. They're comfortable buying virtual products as well, which is one of the many reasons we've seen this craze in pricing when it comes to NFTs. Yeah. All right. Next question is, how important is the Sharpe ratio? Is it a strategy, a Sharpe ratio above 3, essential for intraday trading? I would say above 2 is pretty darn good. Yeah. So a Sharpe ratio can kind of measures alpha, meaning how much you're outperforming a market, giving what your portfolio looks like. I never used it. I remember being asked about my Sharpe ratio many times at many different hedge funds I've worked at. It's kind of more of a marketing thing as well when it comes to mitigating portfolio volatility. So I'm not a big fan of analyzing that to death. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. And then Louisiana's saying, Chris, what are your 5 telltale signs for investing in a great cryptocurrency? I don't have 5. I actually have 49. And you can go here and take my complete cryptocurrency course. And as with my MBA programs, which you can access here, and all my courses, there's a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. So you can binge watch it and just get your money back if you want to. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and Louisiana is saying, by the way, my name here is Riz. Okay, I'll remember that. Thank you. Okay. All right, and give me 1 second, folks. Here we go. Okay, good. All right, and Dummy Indices is asking, how do we handle and deal with the best way with the fat tails in financial market returns? How different are fat tail strategies from a regular log normal return distribution? Yeah. So I guess a logarithmic chart looks like this, whereas a fat tail doesn't look as attractive.
I think of logarithmic as being a hockey stick. I don't really think of it that way. Like what I think about is, and I'm going to quote one of my great analysts who worked for me at my hedge fund years ago, Jason. He used to say, Chris, I don't know the path, but I know the destination. And so if you can spend a lot of time focused on the fundamentals and your target price longer term and try to ignore the volatility in between, then you can stomach volatility and you won't be a tourist in a stock. You won't just be renting them. You'll be an owner. The longer the view, the wiser the intention. Okay. Next up, Maru wrote, hey, Chris, your courses are awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. First time I've seen you on the call. I hope you join us again. Thank you. You wrote, I did both your financial analyst course and your MBA online course. I was very surprised when I saw my small German hometown as one of your backgrounds in your MBA course. Yes. Yeah. A couple of people have told me about that as well. I use green screen for that for one of my side notes. And now instead of using green screen, it's so hard to get a good green screen. Like when you do it, you can see green around you. What I'm doing instead is I'm using a short throw projector, which it's not on right now. And I'm also playing around with lights and doing crazy things. Yeah. But I got to mix it up. And I also have this for tomorrow for an event I have, which is this. Yeah. And it looks cooler when the lights are dimmed or off. Let me see if I can make the lights look kind of scary or good, whatever. Yeah. So I'm trying new things. I'm trying to push the goalpost out. It's something called DMX lighting. I'm an army of one whenever I do these calls live. So having fun. Okay. And that does look pretty dope up there, eh? Next to the Nothing's Impossible light. Yeah. Oh, by the way, guys, I made an idiot of myself last week, and let me show you why. So I put this, it's kind of hard to see here, but remember I put this sign up last week. Right. It says, believe in yourself. And there's a pedal I could hit here, turn it on, see if it works here. Yeah, here it is here. Believe in yourself, be you. And this is just stuff I used to hang it up. Do you notice a problem with this? It doesn't say believe, it says be live. I'm such a loser. And I went back to Etsy where I bought it from to complain, but actually I can't. Buyer beware, caveat emptor, because it said be live in yourself when I bought it. So I can't spell, but I know that with Nothing is Impossible up here, it is spelled correctly. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Okay, that's a little chaser. I don't control the chaser. It just happens automatically. So, yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Dummy Indices is saying, since stock prices are dependent on demand supply, can we predict prices of stocks using general market equilibrium analysis? How successful is market equilibrium analysis? Yeah. So whenever it comes to theoretical concepts like that, or the MACD, or the efficiency frontier, or M&M as they call it as well, I don't believe in that. I believe in being very, very long-term focused and picking stocks based on your earnings estimates in 5 or 10 years. And then diversifying your portfolio by having at least 20 stocks. So no stock is more than 5% of your portfolio. And I also diversify my portfolio with different asset classes, stocks, bonds, commodities, real estate, and some cryptocurrencies, as well as looking at different geographies to diversify in, as well as large cap, mid, and small cap, as well as lastly verticals like different industries. It could be technology, healthcare, consumer staples, etc. Yeah, I don't look at too much of that theoretical stuff because I do humbly believe garbage in equals garbage out. Because there's just so many unknown variables when you look at stuff like that. Kind of like DCF and all the crap I was taught in school, which is irrelevant in the real world. If I tell you x plus 1 is 3, what is x? Well, it's 2, of course. If I tell you x plus 1 plus q plus w plus Peter Pan, I don't know, is 3, what is x? No idea. And that's what I think of all of this economic and financial theory they teach in universities that nobody uses effectively in the real world. Okay. All right. And then next question is, are analysis using parameters like put-call ratio, interest rates, bond yields, open interest have certain edge over simple technical analysis like RSI? Yeah, I would say yes in that case. Yes. Because when you look at the RSI or MACD, what you're doing is you're looking at short-term technical factors. But when you're looking at yields and the other metrics you mentioned, you're looking at valuation metrics and fundamental metrics as well. And so whenever I invest in companies, what I love to do is do a lot of research, and I teach my students how to do this in my MBA degree program. I provide you with a ton of tools or arrows in your quiver, so to speak. But I always love to look at fundamentals first, valuation second, and a distant third, the RSI stuff or MACD, whatever, the technical analysis, the distance third. And I use technicals a bit just to help me decide when to back up the truck and buy a stock on my watch list, usually when it's oversold. I love to buy broken stocks, but not broken companies. I love to buy stocks when the chart looks like you're catching a falling knife. And it feels really uncomfortable because more people are selling. And if everybody is selling and everybody hates a stock, then there's more opportunity for me to make money in the long run. You got to buy always when there's blood in the streets. Yeah, don't chase waves. Don't chase momentum. Don't be a trader. It'll end badly. I promise you. Okay. All right. Next up, I've got Nick. Hey, Nick. Nick is saying, hey, Chris, I understand that you have a background in the hedge fund industry. Is it possible you make a course on how exactly to start your own hedge fund? Yeah. So I've kind of sort of done that over the years. So the most important thing when it comes to raising money for a hedge fund or any industry, and I've raised and managed over $1 billion in my career, I've also made a lot of mistakes. But the most important thing is networking. And you can go to my website, harounventures.com, and download this book on networking. Your network is your net worth. When you go to my website here, you'll notice also there's an event tomorrow. If you want, you can reserve your spot and join us. Everyone's going to get a free prize, multiple free prizes too. But you can access this book down here. Get it for free right here. Okay. Yeah. So I would say the most important thing is your network. And whenever people tell you how much money they're going to invest in your hedge fund, if it's a verbal confirmation, I want you to cut it in half. Because when push comes to shove and they start filling out the subscription documents and whatnot, they usually cut it in half. Just be conservative always. Yeah. Aside from that, when it comes to structuring a hedge fund, you can structure it as a master feeder if you want to. And I'll go into quick detail on this. I know not everyone is interested in this sort of thing. But first of all, get a lawyer to always create all the paperwork and the incorporation. The law firm I used was called the Securities Law Group out here in San Francisco. The guy's name was Jim Grant, great guy. It cost me $30,000 to set up all the legal fees, which you can bill to the fund over 60 months. Okay, you can amortize over 5 years. But what Jim Grant did for me and helped me do was to set up what's called a master feeder structure. And so I had two entities in my hedge fund. One was onshore and the other was offshore in the British Virgin Islands. And they fed up into this master structure, which is my holding company. And the reason you do that, have an offshore account, and I had an offshore bank I set up in the British Virgin Islands, is because a lot of international people don't want to invest in the United States because they don't want to pay U.S. taxes. So you give them the flexibility if they want to invest offshore. And so ABN AMRO, which was one of my bigger offshore investors, they're from Europe, they wanted to invest in the British Virgin Islands. And the BVI or British Virgin Islands, it's like the Cayman Islands, just not as prestigious, but it's cheaper. It's cheaper. Yeah. So that's what I would say. And get experience too in the sector as well. It's always easier to raise money if you have experience in the sector. And as you go along your journey of starting a hedge fund, you can always ask me questions. I'll give you free advice for always, forever on this weekly call. Thank you. Okay. All right. Next up, Augustia is saying, hi, Chris. Thanks for the webcast. My pleasure. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Other than fooled by randomness, which I loved, It's a book by Nicholas Taleb. Yeah. What other finance, specifically buy side related books, would you recommend? Yeah. It's hard, man. It's hard because, like, one of the reasons I teach and I teach business, finance, etc., is because I found that a lot of the stuff that's taught in MBA schools is just irrelevant, theoretical, and out of date. And so there really aren't that many great books out there. But there's one I'll tell you about, one author. So whenever I go into someone's office that's more successful than me, which is every meeting ever, what I do is I always look at their bookshelf. And whatever books they have in their bookshelf, on the elevator ride down, I order all those books. And so there's a guy I worked for, or indirectly for, when I worked at Citadel. His name is Ken Griffin. He's the brilliant founder. I think he's going to be the wealthiest man in the world one day. Yeah, amazing company. But I spent some time with Ken in his office one day. It was just half hour. He and I were talking. The guy's amazing. And I looked over at his bookshelf, and he had a book on finance by an NYU professor called Damodaran. And so that's the only professor and the only textbook, so to speak, that you should ever even think about getting. So I would check that one out. Yeah. Another one you can check out if you want to is called Financial Shenanigans, which is written by Howard Shillett, who founded the CIFRA, which is a forensic accounting institute. And I used to pay him for his services, and he helped me out a lot with short sales when I was in the hedge fund industry. So that's called Financial Shenanigans. It'll help you look for patterns in data when it comes to financial statements to find out if fraud is occurring, for example. Or if, find out if the company might have issues coming up soon, like if revenue and earnings were great, but deferred revenue went down a lot on the balance sheet, that means they drained the pipeline, et cetera, that sort of thing. Aside from that, I can't really think of anything else. I mean, you can check out The Intelligent Investor by Warren Buffett if you want to. It's a little bit dry, but it's brilliant, and that's why Buffett went to Columbia, because the dude that wrote that book was a professor there. And Buffett actually came and guest lectured in my class when I was at Columbia years ago doing my MBA. And his wife was there, and God bless her, she passed away. But she was teasing him when he was guest lecturing. She was teasing him because on their honeymoon, Warren Buffett brought one book, which was The Intelligent Investor. And whatever book it is that you want to bring on your honeymoon, if you can only bring one book, then that is what your career should be. All right. Next. But other books I think that are worth reading in general, business books or psychology books, anything that Malcolm Gladwell writes. And so my favorite book by Malcolm Gladwell is called David and Goliath. It's not a religious thing at all. But basically the bottom line or the message of that book is people that have been told their whole lives that they can't do it or there's something wrong with them are more successful than others. The reason is because they have a chip on their shoulder or they just want to prove the world wrong. And those are the best people to invest in. And I remember I sat down with Douglas Leone, who's a senior partner at Sequoia. And I asked him, what kind of people do you invest in? And I'm going to butcher this as I try to paraphrase what he said. He's brilliant. I sat down an hour and a half one day. He and I were talking. And he basically said, the type of people I like to invest in are people that they might feel there's something different about themselves. And they want to prove the world wrong. And that's important because if you invest in people like that, they're not going to get tempted to sell their company for a couple $100,000 or $1 million. They'll want to put a dent in the universe, so to speak, and not want to sell their company even for $100 billion. Elon Musk. And Elon Musk, for example, when he was younger, and this is all publicly disclosed in his biography, he had the crap kicked out of him, poor guy, in South Africa for being different. And he certainly has proven the world wrong. And a lot of great entrepreneurs are kind of like that. Maybe they grew up and they were told they were dyslexic, which is a gift. John Chambers, who's the chairman emeritus of Cisco, and he was the CEO of Cisco, ticker CSCO, for 17 years. He was dyslexic. He is dyslexic. Same thing with Steven Spielberg, Pablo Picasso. The list goes on and on and on. Read David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. And if you've been told that there's something different about you, Like I was told, the school I went to when I was a kid, they wanted to fail me in the 6th grade and the 8th grade. It's because I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. So I worked my ass off. I work harder than anybody. And I always have, partially because I want to prove the world wrong as well. I'm not as insecure as I used to be. But I remember when I joined Goldman Sachs, I was so scared when I was going through the training program in London, Tokyo, in New York. I was so scared to talk. I thought, if I say something, they'll know I'm dumb. If I don't say anything, they'll just think I'm dumb. And I remember at the time I had that wonderful song by Nirvana from the Unplugged album called Dumb, which I think was initially on In Utero, one of their last album, I think. But then after a while, I just told myself, I don't give a damn what people think. I'm just going to live my life my own terms. But I prepared more than anybody. Like I remember for my Goldman interview, I wrote down over 100 questions they could ask me. And I prepared myself answering the questions. I recorded myself. Did I sound too monotone and boring? Did I sound too arrogant in the inflection of my voice? I prepared for everything. And that's a crux for what I teach in many of my courses on how to get a job, or my MBA program, where I teach you much, much more than just that. So if somebody is watching this and you've been told there's something different about you growing up, I want you to turn that into your competitive weapon. All right. Next up, Vendel is saying, hey, Chris, what do you think are the most important characteristics or skills to be a successful hedge fund manager? Yeah. So I think the best characteristics to be a successful investor in general is you got to be, number one, very long-term focused. Okay. The longer the view, the wiser the intention. That's what Warren Buffett said. When Warren Buffett invests in the stock market or individual stocks, he assumes that the market could be closed for 10 years. Obviously, he knows that's not the case because, but he's very, very long-term focused. I almost butchered this one. Secondly, when it comes to being a great investor, you have to be incredibly unemotional. Okay. If you're emotional, you'll sell at the worst time. And Warren Buffett said the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Think about that. Selling something you love because it's cheaper. Doesn't make sense. And so the most successful people I've worked for, and a number of billionaires, and I won't say which ones, but I think they have Asperger's syndrome. They're unemotional. And that's one of the reasons why they're incredibly successful. I remember working at a big hedge fund, and I was on the trading floor, and one of our companies got acquired, and all of us are up there high-fiving, woohoo, all that good stuff. The founder was just kind of sitting at his desk, didn't really care. And another day, the market was falling off a cliff, and the founder was just like, whatever. So just be unemotional in business and very level-headed, and you'll be much more successful as an investor or in business in general. Aside from that, other ways to become a very successful investor is to do your own research. Don't ever rely on anybody else. Don't rely on me. Use my frameworks, though. I give you a ton of tools and frameworks in my MBA degree program and in my courses. Do your own research, because as Steve Jobs said, no one is smarter than you. And I believe so fully in that, that at the end of every webcast, I play that video I licensed from the Silicon Valley Historical Association of Steve Jobs saying, no one is smarter than you. Do your own research. Always, always, always. Yeah. Ignore others. Don't watch financial television. Don't watch people being interviewed about stocks because they're biased and they'll bias you. Don't read editorials in papers or magazines or online about what stocks to buy. Do your own research and complete a research report before buying a stock. Or if you already own the stock, then I advise buy-in homework. And I provide you with just a ton of frameworks in my courses and my MBA degree program for you to be able to analyze companies to death. In fact, by the fourth semester of my MBA degree program, what I do is there is a 100-step framework I provide you with that I made in Excel that analyzes all aspects of a company from a qualitative, quantitative, and financial perspective. And let me show you a very, very short video of that right now and the framework. And so there's 5 components to my MBA degree program. One of the 5 components is finance and accounting. Here's a short excerpt of that. I'll be right back. All right, next question we have here is from Dummy Indices, who's saying, can markets be efficient at times so that hourly daily cash flows in a company are reflected in the stock price? I don't think so for a couple of reasons. Number one, because companies report earnings every 3 months, quarterly. And so what's reflected from a cash flow perspective or accounting perspective is only released 4 times per year. That's quarterly. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I don't believe the markets are efficient. Otherwise, there wouldn't be jobs for finance professionals out there. I think that long-term investors do incredibly well, but short-term trading-oriented investors, it's a loser proposition. They lose money, but they provide a lot of opportunities for long-term investors to buy when they freak out. Yeah. So I don't believe that markets are efficient. All right. Next up, question is SHA 256. And so SHA 256, for those of you not familiar with it, is the secure algorithm that Bitcoin is based on, and some other cryptocurrencies as well. It was developed by the National Security Agency, the NSA, in the United States. And it's the follow-up to SHA 1. So SHA 256 is easily breakable with quantum computing. Only AES 4096 is theoretically secure. With so many qubits being made, I believe cryptos will one day end up in smoke. Yeah. And the only way to really obliterate SHA 256 is if you get a 50% attack, meaning 50% of the computers in the world mining Bitcoins or more than them to be working together, which is theoretically almost impossible. Yeah. All right. And then Harsh is saying, I never received the last webcast course. You said we'll receive it in 24 hours. Yeah, if you registered, you would have received it. And so in order to register for my next webcast, which is tomorrow, what you can do is just go to my website, harounventures.com, and then click here to register, and then you'll get the free course as well. So if you registered, you should have received it. If not, what you can do is email support@harounventures.com, and I'll personally take care of it today. Okay, I'll look for your name, Harsh. I'll search for your name as well. Thanks. All right, Nilsa, how are you? Nilsa is one of my wonderful MBA degree program students. She's from Puerto Rico. She's awesome, and her little sister signed up as well recently. And so Nilsa is saying, hope you're well. I'm looking forward to your web class, meaning tomorrow's class. Thank you. And then you wrote, yesterday, Ginny and I had a one-on-one. Awesome. And Ginny is one of my other amazing MBA students. She's from Vietnam. She rocks. She's awesome. And then you wrote, she presented her project. It was great exchanging ideas. Awesome. I love that. I love when my students interact with each other because I always say that repetition is the mother of success. You got to repeat over and over and over again the stuff that I teach you, and I can take you to the water, but I can't force you to drink. And a lot of my students, what they'll do is they'll interact with each other using Slack. We have a wonderful network in my MBA program as well. Awesome. Okay. And then the topic that Ginny and you presented on was about the vaccine that made you change. Oh, I'm so sorry. No, you wrote here another question. You wrote, Chris, about the vaccine, what made you change your mind? I'm giving it some thought. If I decide I prefer Johnson & Johnson's vaccine. Yeah. So for me, and earlier on in the call, I'd mentioned that I am going to get the shot, but I'm going to wait until May because people on the front line, like real teachers, should get it now. I'm not a real teacher, whatever. I do this. The front line means I'm right in front of you, but you know what I'm getting at. I'm not a hero like they are. But we can all get it in May. Of this year here in the United States. And a lot of people, what you can do, and let me tell you, if you have friends that are older or a relative that's older and you can't get the vaccine, what you can do is this. Some places in the world, because the vaccine is shipped at the wrong times, sometimes government agencies will, in a parking lot at airports, administer the vaccine last minute to people. And for example, here in San Francisco, in long-term parking at the airport, SFO, the airport here, Every day at 5 p.m., they have hundreds and hundreds of vaccines they give away for free. All you have to do is line up. I'm not going to line up. It's not ethical for me because I'm not older and I'm not in the front lines like real teachers, the real heroes. But you can do that in a lot of places around the world. Yeah. But I'm going to probably, whatever one I'm going to get, I'll probably get Moderna. I'll get the one that's got the highest efficacy. Yeah. So I'll definitely do that. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, and somebody here said, I don't know if my questions are going in. Yeah, if you enter in a web address, it gets stripped out. YouTube doesn't allow it to go through. And if I've missed any questions, just post them again. The older I get, the better I was. I do have senior moments. Okay. And then Manas wrote here, thanks a lot. God bless you and your family forever. See you tomorrow. Good luck, and let's push the goalpost. Oot. You spell it like a Canadian does. Oot. I love that. It's not out, Americans. It's oot. That's how you're supposed to pronounce it. Yeah. Thank you. And I love all your emojis. God bless you way more, buddy. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Roz is saying, I'm in your cryptocurrency course. How do you tell between real and not real cryptos based on fundamentals? Yeah. So what you should do is in the cryptocurrency course, and for those of you not registered, you can go here, 30-day money-back guarantee. You can take the whole thing if you want, and my MBA program in 30 days, get your money back. There's 49 steps to help you analyze the fundamentals. I would go through every single one of those steps to help you before deciding to invest in a crypto, please. Yeah. Oh my God, my mom is here. I love you, Mama. My mom, Jackie Haroun. That's my mom. Everyone say hi to my mom. Hi, Mama. I love you. I love you. I love my mom so much. And I remember my mom, she taught me, and Mom, one of the reasons I do what I do is because of you, because you made education fun for me growing up. Remember that stupid school I went to that wanted to fail me. And even when I was younger, I was like 5 or 6 years old. I couldn't read. I couldn't read as good as other people. You're dying to correct me, but you can't. I couldn't read as good as others. And so my mom taught me with Miss Finnegan, which is a puppet she made. She made a puppet. She sewed it herself. I still have it here, actually. And with that puppet, I remember she fed me cookies as well. Miss Finnegan taught me how to read. I love you, Mama. And you're the reason I do this, I guess. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you, Mama. I love you so much. Love you. Yeah. And I have another puppet here, actually, and this is for tomorrow's webcast. It's just a prop. And this has nothing to do with Miss Finnegan. But back in 1999, there was a company that went public called Pets.com. And all they did was they sold pet supplies and pet food online. And it was moronic because you can go to Amazon and get all that stuff for cheaper anyway. And they spent a fortune creating this puppet as well. Right? This sock puppet, which I got on eBay. eBay is great for props. And when you present, buy props on eBay, and then you can sell them back after you present. Because like my mom, who I talked about a second ago, teaching me how to read when I was a kid, and I had learning issues, whatever. She used a prop, and people remember props in school. You all remember show and tell, right? You remember what people brought into school that day. You don't remember what your teacher taught you, but you remember the props, right? And so when you're giving a presentation, go out and get props, get them on eBay, get like for me, I have old bonds when I teach about how bonds work. And this here is a coupon bond because there are coupons you can rip off. Bonds that don't have coupons are called zero coupon bonds. But this here was something that was created by Pets.com. They spent a fortune on this, on this for her advertising. Kind of cute though. And what happened was this was a spectacular disaster, right? This company went bankrupt and was the poster child for excess of the 1990s during a dot-com bubble 1.0, so to speak. So anyway, cute though, eh? All right, I'm gonna put him down though. I love you, Mama. I love you, Mama. Okay. All right, cool. And say hi to Dada as well. And if Dad, if you're watching, I love you too. Dad, you're like a father to me. No, I love you so much. Okay. And yes, we're all praying for Uncle Mark. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Next up, Lawrence is saying, "Hey Chris, hope everything is well. Do you think Bitcoin is the digital version of gold in the long run? My idea is the world is moving towards this direction, although there may be bumps in the road. I do, and it's interesting because Federal Reserve Chairperson Powell the other day kind of talked about Bitcoin as not being a replacement for the dollar. Hey, Mom, did you hear I said dollar correct, right? Mom, these Americans, they say dollar. It's dollar, right? I know, yeah. So the Federal Reserve Chairperson, Powell, said that Bitcoin is kind of more of a replacement for gold than it is the U.S. dollar. Yeah. And I do view it that way as well. Yeah. So, yeah, and there's a dearth of it. And so whenever you do analysis on any cryptocurrencies or any investment class for that matter, please make sure to look at the supply. And my mom's dad, Grandpa, God bless you, Grandpa, used to always say, Chrissy, buy land. They're not making it anymore. And so, right, Mom? And so whenever you're analyzing cryptocurrencies or any investment class, make sure you understand the underlying supply as well. If there's no limit on supply, it might not be the best cryptocurrency to invest in. And with Bitcoin, the supply is going to be limited to 21 million Bitcoins by the year 2140. By the year 2140, there's going to be there's going to be the maximum number of Bitcoins out there, which is 21 million. In which case, people will make money on transaction fees instead of just mining. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And my mom is saying round eyebrow. I don't know what you mean by that. Is my eyebrow round, or is there something I'm showing? I'm not sure. Not sure. But Mom, I know you're worried about this fog here and starting a fire. I know it's okay, Mom. It's okay because I have a fan. See, I can tease my mom and she can't say anything, right? It's okay, Mom. It's just a fog machine. I love you. Looks pretty cool in the background, eh? Hey, Mom, it looks dope, eh? Okay. I love my mom and dad so much. All right. All right. Next up, Adonis is saying, hey, Chris, my wife and I are students on your MBA program, Silver. Awesome. Thank you. And for those of you not familiar with my MBA program, it doesn't stand for Masters of Business Administration. My MBA stands for Married But Available. I'm just kidding. My mom is watching. Oh, that was my... Okay, karma's a bitch. Sorry. Mom, this never comes off. I'm kidding. Yeah. I'm a good Catholic boy. Yeah. So I'm sorry. So Adonis is saying, hey, Chris, my wife and I are students in your MBA program, the silver version, the on-demand version. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. We love it, and it is opening doors for us. Awesome. I'm great to hear it. Thank you. Thank you for the support as well. We've started following behind schedule. Do you have any suggestions or insights to help us? Yeah. Yeah, it's good to do it as part of a team, so you can put yourself on the spot. So what I would do is if you go back to the very first class, the first class was an orientation lesson as well as the first personal growth class, where I provided you, with, it's distracting, sorry. I provide you with a scheduling system. Right, it's like a premium version of the schedule I provide my students in this weekly webcast. And what I would do is I would just schedule each day the night before. Because if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person, which is you. And so the more busy you are, the more stuff you get done. When you're on vacation, you know what it's like. You don't get very much stuff done. So let me show you what the non-premium version of that schedule looks like. So if you go to, and this is for everybody else not in the MBA program, but if you go to my website, that is not me doing that. Okay. If you go to my website, harouneducation.com/schedule, all lowercase, schedule here, okay, lowercase, you can download my daily scheduling PowerPoint file. And in my MBA program, I have a premium version of this available. And the MBA program, I have one that's available, a version on OneNote, PDF, PowerPoint, and LibreOffice, and many other form factors. So what you do is this, and this is the basic version, okay? But what I recommend that you do, Adonis, you and your wife, is every day, and you can completely customize this, create your schedule for the next day, okay? And write down, what time you're going to take my classes. It's on demand. You can do less than an hour a day and finish it in less than a year. But what I would do is I'd schedule everything here ahead of time. including, time to go for a walk, whatever, exercise, all that stuff. And then at the end of the day, score yourself before you create tomorrow's. Tomorrow's schedule. Take off 10% for each meeting you missed or whatever it is. And then you can write down your to-dos here. And this is a personal one I had for myself years ago. At the end of the day, and Mama, you'll love this. My mom's on the call. If I don't pray, I put God first. I take off 20%. If I don't put family first, I take off 10%. If I don't put customers first, I take off a certain amount. And I have to, if I didn't create my meals throughout the day or get 7 or 8 hours of sleep, I take off points. And the same thing with steps. And there's other personal stuff here as well, body mass index and all that stuff. So what I recommend doing, Adonis, is every day creating your schedule, so that when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you see by your sink is your daily schedule. So you know exactly what you're going to accomplish that day. And write out by hand if you want to as well until it becomes second nature. Don't do this on the weekends, though, otherwise you go crazy. And you got to take at least one day off a week, as our forefathers and foremothers have been telling us for thousands of years. Yeah. There's a reason God said he created the world in 7 days. Well, 6 days and 1 day to rest. Obviously, he didn't need to rest. He's God. But he was kind of telling us that you got to take 1 day off a week, spend time decompressing or with family. It's an important investment, and it prevents burnout too. All right. Okay. And thank you, Adonis, for you and your wife for taking the program. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, next up, I've got Mark. Mark Satones. He's one of my students in my MBA program as well. Mark is awesome. So get this. Mark has got a business plan, and he's so long-term focused. And his business plan that he's doing in the MBA program is, get ready for this, mining minerals on asteroids. Unbelievable. It's amazing. Heck, if Elon Musk has been talking about colonizing Mars for decades, why can't you get minerals from asteroids? It's going to be amazing to see how you execute. I'm there to humbly help you. Okay. And Mark, who goes by Satones on YouTube, is saying, my accountant says he needs my EIN number, which is employee identification number, to file my business taxes. Is this normal? Thanks and great to see you, brother. Likewise. Yeah, it is normal. It is normal. So an EIN, it's kind of like a social security number in America or social insurance number in other countries, Canada, for example. An EIN is like a social security number, a unique identifier for a company. Yeah. And so I have an EIN for my companies as well. Very normal that you need that to file. Absolutely. Your accountant's right. Kartik, how are you? Kartik is saying hello. I have a video interview with E&Y, that's Ernst & Young, for an audit position. Any tips? Yeah. So what I recommend doing is go to this website here and take my complete job course. And it will help you out tremendously. I also have a course called How to Interview Better Than Anyone, or you can take my MBA degree program, sign up here, where we go into much more detail. Yeah. But what I would do before your interview, I would go to the LinkedIn profile and Twitter profile of whoever it is that's interviewing you, if you have their names. And I would find out who they follow. So if they follow baseball teams, let's say they follow, the Boston Red Sox on Twitter, then you could talk about baseball, when there's small talk before the interview actually gets going. And a big rookie mistake, and sports is always great boardroom talk. A big rookie mistake in business is to talk right away about business. You don't do that. Business is about relationships first and product knowledge second. Your network is your net worth. It's not who you know, it's whom you know. Is that right? It's not what you know, it's whom you know. I'm nervous because my mom's watching, and it's whom you know, not who you know, right, Mom? So what I would do is bond. Okay, bond in the first 10 minutes or so. Get to know them. And the way you can bond with them is find out who they follow on Twitter and see what their interests are. That's what I would say. Very important. Or on LinkedIn, maybe you have a contact in common that you could, break the ice with it and talk about that person or people that sort of thing. And so that's the first 10 minutes. And they'll guide you through the interview. So when they want to stop small talk, whatever it is, they'll start asking you interview questions. And so If in the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes of the interview, if they start saying really positive things about the company, E&Y in this case, if they start saying positive things about the company, I want you to immediately stop selling, okay? Because they're trying to sell you. And if you sell past the close or keep marketing yourself over and over and over again, you might overdo it. What do I mean by this? Well, what happens in business a lot of times is if somebody is trying to sell you a product and they say really positive things about it, and you love the product and you say, okay, great, I'm going to buy it, and they keep trying to sell it to you, you think to yourself, gosh, why is this person still selling the idea? I like the product, but am I missing something? Am I a fool? Why am I so lucky to be given this opportunity? I'm not buying the product. In between, so after the first part, bonding, and the end, when they try to sell you in the company, when it comes to those questions, they could ask, what I want you to do is I want you to take my course, and you can go to this web address here and learn a lot more. You can binge watch it really quickly. Start with a complete job course, and that will help you out tremendously. And you will get the job of your dreams or your money back. And that's the only course I have, my complete job course, where there's a lifetime money back guarantee. Good luck. Let me know how it goes next week, please. All right. All right. Next up, Ediposi is saying, hey, Chris, I'm currently taking your complete financial analyst course. I can't believe how much value you give. For $10, I'm forever indebted to you for this level of access to financial education. Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate that. And I pride myself on teaching based on, my real life experience and not based on theory. Yeah. And actually, what I want to do, give me 1 second here. Yeah. What I want to do is I'll show you guys the trailer for this really, really quickly. I'm going to take a really quick break. You join my company in this course, though, and it's called the Complete Financial Analyst Training Course. I recorded this in the Czech Republic, in Prague. Adad was my wonderful videographer, and we're renting a 747 here, one that's taken out of commission very soon, later this year, at the Hiller Space Museum to record another trailer for my MBA degree program. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be walking out of the cockpit into regular class, and I'm going to say to everybody, you've been upgraded to business class. And they'll come and sit in business class, and I'll talk about business class. Here's the trailer for that course. Welcome to MHS. Congratulations! MHS stands for Morgan Haroun Sachs, which is the world's #1 pretend finance company. Come with me. You will go through our Financial Analyst Training Program Bootcamp. Here you will learn a lot about finance and investing, with no theory. You will rotate through the many divisions of our firm, and we will discuss how to excel in 14 different financial analyst roles. I will also help you understand which finance role you're most passionate about, and how to get hired and promoted in the industry. You will deal with the employees and clients of our firm in edutaining, meaning entertaining, and educational interactive case studies, including how an IPO works, how to manage risk, and how to manage a portfolio. You will create incredible investment research reports that will impress the heck out of anyone in the finance industry. This course is for anyone who wants to be a financial analyst, or a better investor, stock picker, portfolio manager, and more. No prior experience is necessary. It includes a comprehensive Excel template to help guide you through our training program. In addition, I will teach you Excel skills so you can model financial statements and value companies from scratch. This course is based on my many years of experience. I'm an MBA graduate from Columbia University. I've gone through the Global New Hire Financial Analyst Training Program at Goldman Sachs in New York, London, and Tokyo. I've worked for top hedge funds, and I even started my own hedge fund and venture capital firms. This course is more than 22 hours long. This is the most thorough financial analyst and investing course available on the market. The student reviews have been amazing. Welcome to the Morgan Haroun Sachs Training Program. This will be a lot of fun. I'll see you in the morning. All right. Now, Kartik, best of luck with your interview. Now, when people are on television and there's a lot of lights, they put on makeup. And they do it so your face doesn't shine, like my massive nose. I have a shiny nose, big, yeah. So what I recommend doing, and this is for everybody, is there's something called oil control film, and it gets rid of the shine. Okay, so what you do is this: before your video interview, if you have bright lights on, you just wipe off your face with these things. It's really easy, and then you can put on a little bit of powder if you want to as well to get rid of the shine. Right. So again, it's called oil control film. So check it out, and best of luck with your interview as well. These are cheap, yeah. And there's no brand you have to get. This is Johnson & Johnson. There are a lot of knockoffs, are just as good. Okay, moving on. Next, Avi Pro. It's been a while. Avi Pro is he's a pilot based in Sweden, and he's a techie as well. It's so funny. It's prophetic because I was talking about renting the 747 a second ago there. And so Avi Pro, it's been a while, man. I hope you're doing well, and I hope your son is doing well as well. Avi Pro said, "Hey, Chris, hope all's well. Can you show us the Be Live sign again? I actually thought it was sort of great with the different colors on the letters. Maybe I didn't see it correctly." Yeah. So I was talking about how last week I made a fool of myself because I paid all this money to get this special sign that it says "Believe in yourself." I try to get everyone to be confident and stuff. So let me show you what it looks like here. So I don't know if you can see what's wrong with this. If my mom is still watching, she'll definitely pick up on this. Here it is here. All right. Yeah, and these are just string ties. I used to hang it up. Do you see what's wrong with this? You see? It says it doesn't say believe in yourself. It says be alive in yourself, right? And BU is as well. But it's got a spelling mistake. I know. I would call the complaint, or I went to complain over Etsy, but I couldn't submit my, pardon me. I couldn't submit my, my request to complain because it did say be live in yourself in the image of the product I bought. Yeah. Laugh at me, not with me, always. Okay. Next up, Kartik is saying, regarding the interview, should I expect behavior questions or technical questions in the interview? I've cleared the screening round. It's the first round of HR. And the interviewer is an audit manager. Yeah. So again, what I humbly recommend you do, and you do have time, is sign up for my complete job course and focus on the interview part of it. Or you can take my interview course as well. They're right here. 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. Sign up for the course. If you don't get the job, ask for your money back because there's a lifetime money back guarantee on that course. That's how confident I am that my methodology humbly works. Yeah. Okay. Next question's from Dennis, which is, hello, Chris. What was the best moment in your life? God, that's tough. Probably June 3rd of 2000, when I got married to Christine. Yeah. We've been divorced for 18 years now, but no, I'm just kidding. This never comes off. That was probably the best moment of my life, June 3rd. Got married in Mississauga, Canada at St. Catherine of Siena Church years ago. That was the best moment of my life. In terms of a trigger point. So Tony Robbins, who I met, a great guy, he even invested in one of my companies. I brought him to visit with one of my companies in San Francisco years ago. Good guy. He's a real deal, by the way. But he said to me that you have to think about a trigger in your life and something to put you into a peak mental state, as he refers to it, whenever you're down and out. And so for me, my trigger is a certain point in my life where I lost my voice, and almost ruptured an eardrum as well. And that was late September of 2015. My three sons and we were watching a baseball game on television. And it was the Blue Jays against Texas Rangers, and we were losing, and then Jose Bautista hit this epic home run, and then he flipped his bat, and we went crazy, and that's my trigger point. So, and my kids were jumping up and down. They all jumped into my arms and stuff. It was awesome. And so when I feel down and out, which is rare, but it happens, I think of that. I think of that moment. So yeah. Okay. And everyone should have a trigger point as well. Just think of something that makes you incredibly happy so that whenever you're down and out, you think of that trigger to get you into back into your peak mental state, as Tony Robbins talks about. Okay. Next question is from Dennis, who's saying, how are billionaires and multi-millionaires different from each other? Yeah. That's tough. It's a tough question to answer. Yeah. I would look. I'm a capitalist, right? And I believe in democracy and capitalism and survival of the fittest, in corporate Darwinism and stuff. For the best products to rise to the top. However, there are a lot of people that have become billionaires that have cut a lot of corners and have been unethical as well. How do I know this? Because a lot of times, really, really wealthy people, billionaires, later in their lives, they get caught for something really unethical, like insider trading. You see it on Wall Street all the time. And you think to yourself, why would they do that? They already have billions of dollars. Why would they risk their career by being a cheater? Because once a cheater, always a cheater. It's kind of like in a marriage. If somebody cheats on somebody, one data point does make a trend. And so these very rich people, billionaires quite often, I see it on Wall Street all the time, they break the law over and over and over again, but they just got caught later in life. But they broke the law many times to rise to the top. Yeah. And so I would say that billionaires more often are likely more unethical. I am a capitalist guy. Likely more unethical than millionaires on average. Yeah. All right. Next up, Dummy Indices is saying, sir, call me Chris, please. Would you consider making a standalone course on derivatives, markets, various strategies? I couldn't practically apply any concept reading books on the subject. Yes, absolutely. And it's one of two courses I'm making this year. Okay. So I just released a course the other day called Savings 101 in 47 Ways to Become a Millionaire. And two other courses I'm releasing this year are the real estate course as well as the derivatives course. And for those of you in my MBA degree program, we cover derivatives in a lot of detail in class number 89 out of 100. And yes, I will be adding more real estate stuff to the MBA curriculum as well. Much more detail than my individual courses. Yeah. All right, cool. And then Dummy Indices is saying, do you think behavioral economics and its concepts like nudges can be used to analyze the quality of the management of a company? Yeah, absolutely. And so I have a very good friend of mine who I went to high school and undergraduate school with, and we also worked at Goldman at the same time, named David Potter. And he's a portfolio manager at Fuller and Taylor. And Fuller and Taylor, they're a big mutual fund out here in the Bay Area. They invest based on behavioral finance. And Mr. Fuller and Taylor just won a Nobel Prize in finance for this. And what they do is they invest in companies based on insider buying or selling. It makes a lot of sense too. It seems simplistic, but it works. If a company's senior executive team starts buying a lot of shares in the company, well, they probably know something that you don't know, that business is going to improve, or vice versa. So I really do believe that part of your investment philosophy should be predicated on insider buying and selling, as well as the quality of the management team. Yeah. And I'd always rather invest in a company with a B business model and an A management team, instead of investing in a company with an A business model and a B management team. The jockey's always more important than the horse. All right. All right, give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. All right. Next up, and if I miss any questions, just post it again. I read everything live here, and I answer every question. Yeah. There's only one thing I didn't read over the past 130 weeks, and it was somebody that listed a profanity. Yeah. Okay. That was just one time. All right. So next question is, Adiposi is saying, I didn't get the book on finance from the professor. Danny Dorian. No, it's Damadorian. I'm sorry. I should have gone and shown you here. So the only professor I recommend considering reading books from is a guy named Damadorian, right? So he's an NYU professor, Damadorian. Yeah. Damodaran. Sorry. Google corrected me. That's okay. Yeah. NYU Stern. Yeah. So he's great. He's great. And again, when I worked at Citadel, Ken Griffin, who's the billionaire founder, I talked to him for half an hour one day in his office, and on his bookshelf, he had a book by Damadorian. So whenever you're in the office of somebody successful, always look to see what books they have on the bookshelf, which doesn't work as well as it used to because of digital. Yeah. Okay. All right, next question is from Kartik, who's saying, how should I answer a question when I don't know the answer in an interview? Yeah. So what I would do is I would simply say, I'm sorry, I don't know, but I'll find out. And you write down the question. And then within half an hour of the interview being done, do your research on the internet and then send them a thank you email. Subject line of the email is thank you. Contents are as follows. Joanne, it was great meeting with you today, semicolon. I enjoyed our conversation. With respect to the question you had on X, comma, here are my humble thoughts. Do research and list a couple of bullet points. And then write, thanks again. That's it. All right. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll try to see, they'll put you on the spot. And don't be nervous because sometimes they act in interviews. You know, I remember once when I was interviewing at Goldman Sachs, I had this one guy named Aaron Lieberman, and he really put me on the spot, and he was a bit aggressive with me. He turned out to be a great guy, right? But he was just kind of putting me on the spot. I'm glad he did. But he started off by saying, so Chris, and this is back in July of 1998 when I interviewed there, he said, Chris, what major markets do you follow outside the United States? And I listed a bunch, you know, and I said some European markets as well. And he said, well, give me a market you follow in Germany or in Europe. And I said the DAX in Germany, which is like the S&P or the Dow in Germany. And he said, well, give me a company on the DAX that you follow. And I said Daimler Chrysler at the time. And now it's just Mercedes. And he said, well, who's the CEO of Daimler Chrysler? And at that time, I said, well, it's Jürgen Schremp. And then he said, well, who's the CFO of Daimler Chrysler? And I said, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. And that's a tactic that they use, right? They want to see if you're going to BS or not. And the right answer always is, I don't know, but I'll find out. And you get back to them, show them how resourceful you are. Okay. All right, next up, question from Ryan. Hey, Ryan. Ryan is saying, hey, Chris, how do you build a strong management team, low to mid and high level management, so that you can get yourself out of the day-to-day operations of the business and just make key big decisions? Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, especially when it's your company. You know, I used to have this arrogant notion, which is wrong, and I'm critical of myself, of if I don't do something myself, it just won't get done right. And that's illogical because it leads to burnout if you do everything yourself instead of relying on other people. And so I realized that when I was thinking that, not only was it wrong and hurting my business and my personal life because I'd be doing everything myself, but it was a reflection of me not hiring the right people. And so when I interview people to work at my company, I always look for people that are so passionate about the industry that they're not interviewing for a job. They're interviewing for something they absolutely love. And I over-interview to the extent that I usually have people intern with me for about 6 months first before I bring them on kind of full time. And the reason is because all it takes is one bad apple, one bad hire to destroy the culture of an entire company. So I over-interview. And I make sure the people that get the job ultimately are team players. They're not bullies. There's a no bully policy in my companies always. The kind of dude that peaked in high school that thinks they're kind of cool because they were a football player years ago, whatever. So there's no bully policy. And you have to get along with everybody. And I'm a 6-month interview basically. So I never have mistakes, hardly ever. I had to let one employee go last year. It's kind of tough though, but yeah. Okay. And I teach a lot of management techniques as well in my MBA program. Or what you can do is I have a couple of management courses you can access here. One is called How to Motivate Employees. Another one is called How to Delegate. And maybe the delegation one might be helpful for you. Yeah. Okay. And also, when it comes to references, like it's such a ridiculous game. The whole process of, can you please provide me with a list of references? Well, obviously, they're going to give you references to people that are going to say good stuff. Like, it's as ridiculous as saying, well, my mom and dad are references, call them, they'll say good stuff. So what I do when it comes to references is I actually go on LinkedIn and I find people that are also connected to this person I'm interviewing with, or secondary connection, whatever it is. And I call them. And when I call and ask for references, you remember when we were younger? When we were younger, if we didn't like somebody, we'd say, well, I don't like that person. And then we get older and we get more political. And so the way to tell if a reference doesn't like a person is quite simply if they give you neutral comments. Like, yes, I know this person. That sort of thing. So the lack of a positive comment from the reference checks that I go about getting, the lack of a positive comment is a signal of a negative comment. Okay. And hey, Dario, how are you? Dario is one of my wonderful students from Italy, and I teased him ages ago because I had a buddy in business school named Dario back in the 90s, and I remember we used to say, "It's me, Dario." Yeah, from the Mario game. And Dario likes that, though. We talked about that. We bonded. So Dario's saying, hey, Chris, thanks for making this happen. Thursday is a great day, thanks to you. Thank you. I appreciate that. God bless you, man. Okay. Next up, Kyle is saying, hey, Chris, you have said that sales is one of the most important skills to learn in business. What companies and or roles would be great for someone wanting to master this skill? Yeah. So I would say the ability to bond with somebody and talk about something you have in common. And so for me, what I do is whenever I meet somebody for the first time, I ask them about themselves a lot, where they're from, that sort of thing, and I try to pinpoint, find something we have in common with them. Maybe we like the same sports team. Sports is great for boardroom talk. And so if I meet somebody from a certain city in America, I'll always mention the sports teams from that city, and we'll talk sports, which again is great boardroom talk. If it's overseas, obviously you talk about sports that are relevant globally. Yeah. So that's what I would do when it comes to sales, is always try to bond first, bond before business, because, pardon me, relationships are more important than product knowledge. Yeah. Now, in terms of what companies to work at, to learn a lot about sales, probably the best company to work at is Oracle, ticker ORCL, which is a database company based here in Redwood City, California. They're moving soon to Texas for tax reasons. God bless them. I agree. Let's keep our governor in check and keep taxes low. But Oracle is where it's a tough place to work, to be intellectually honest. There's a lot of type A personalities that work there, but it's probably the most important sales-oriented culture on the planet. So I would work there. And what came out of Oracle actually were some of the best companies on the planet, like Mark Benioff. So he was the youngest vice president in Oracle history. He made VP at 26, and he started Salesforce.com. Ticker CRM, which is the biggest employer now here in the Bay Area. One data point doesn't make a trend. There's plenty of other people that came out of Oracle that have started companies as well, like Tom Siebel, who started Siebel, which got bought by Oracle. There's also David Duffield, who started Workday, as well as PeopleSoft, which Oracle bought as well. Yeah. All right. Next question is from Dario, which is, if you wanted to invest in a food tech startup called Solar Foods, which produces a unique single-cell protein out of thin air before the IPO, how would you do it? Yeah, it's tough. So there's a company called Second Market, which will allow you to buy into private companies. But just be really, really careful of this, please, because what happens is this. When you invest in private companies, and give me 1 second, please. I'm just going to clear my throat. Check, check, check. Okay. If mom, if you're watching, I'm totally fine. I love you. Yeah. So if you want to invest in a company that's private, be careful, okay? Because there's two different share classes. There's preferred shares and then common shares. And so what happens typically is if a company goes bankrupt, the people who get their money back first, the entity or people or investors with a senior claim are the debt holders, the bond holders, right? Or the people that gave them loans. They get the senior claim. Then comes the preferred shareholders. Then the lowest of the low is the common shareholders. And think of the name common versus preferred, okay? So make sure if you have a choice, you get preferred shares so you don't get diluted as much, okay? And quite often, if you want to buy a stake in a company that's private, you're going to have to get permission from the board. So, for example, years ago, at my venture capital firm where I was a partner, we invested a lot in a company called Palantir when it was private. I sold my stake. And in order to do so, we had to get permission from Peter Thiel and Founders Fund and the board in general, because the board of the companies has a ROFR, ROFR. ROFR stands for right of first refusal. They can refuse whether or not you can buy shares. So I would look at the ROFR policy to get board permission. I also look at whether or not you're getting preferred or common shares. And of course, do a ton of due diligence on the company. You could sign up for my MBA degree program or my other courses that will help you do due diligence on the company before even considering investing. And never invest in anything ever without getting an offering memorandum first. Okay, it's a legal document that will tell you all the important stuff about a company. So for example, with Facebook, this here is the S1 filing from 2012 that's created by investment bankers as well as lawyers to tell you all the risks and everything about the company. See if you can get something like this. It won't be as big as this because that company you're considering investing in is pre-IPO. But see if you can get something like this, an investment offering memorandum. And quite often, 6 months before a company goes public, they issue this. They file to go public. And the way you can find out if a company has filed to go public is to go directly to sec.gov. And I'll show you. So you go over here, we go to sec.gov, okay? And then you search to see if the company is filed here. So with Facebook, I showed you earlier in this webcast, you could have gone and looked at their prospectus, that document I just showed you before investing. But for, say, a company like Udemy, the first place you'll find out if Udemy files to go public, and I have no information on when that will happen, is right here at sec.gov, right? You'll click here to see if they file for an S1. They haven't yet. They haven't. This is a filing they did back in 2014 when Dennis Yang was CEO. Good guy. Yeah. But quite often when you're doing due diligence or research on a company that's not public, you could still read the S1 filing if they filed to go public. And again, quite often companies file to go public and allow this document to be accessible, this S1 on sec.gov, 6 months or so before an IPO. Yeah. Okay. And then Kartik is saying, how do you not get nervous in a video interview of 30 minutes? Yeah, it's a great question. So I found there was one point in my life where I prepared a lot for interviews and I couldn't get a job. And I didn't understand it. I was so ready, man. And then finally I went to an interview and I kind of sat back and I thought to myself, I don't give a damn if I get this job. And I was just me and I was relaxed and I got that job. And then I did it again for another interview. I got that job as well. And so I'm not saying to be, laid back and not respectable, but right before the interview starts, what I want you to tell yourself is this: I don't care if I get this, because that will take pressure off of you. And more importantly, and this is just me, this is what I do. I never worry about anything in business because I always tell myself, God already knows what's going to happen, which puts love in my heart and takes all the pressure of the world off my back. Okay. And then Kyle is saying, I love the interview and LinkedIn course. It's been very helpful. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. Thank you. And for those of you that have already taken my complete job course, even if you took it years ago, if it didn't help, I've got a lifetime money back guarantee. Okay. Next up, Christina, how are you? Christina is one of my amazing MBA degree program students. She's taken the program with her husband, Christian. They live here in South San Francisco. They're awesome. And Christian, actually, he's got a dream job. He works at PlayStation. He used to work at Electronic Arts. And their daughter, Isabel, comes on the call every now and then as well. They're family. And Christina wrote here, hi, Mama, to Jackie Haroun. Thank you so much for your son. Is the best. Oh, thank you, Professor. An inspiration to all of us in his MBA program. He inspires us to do our best. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. God bless you. God bless you. Yeah. Oh, and Christina also, I knew what she was going to say next. This is awesome. Christina also says, hope you're having an outstanding week so far. So happy your mama's on with us today. Cheers. I'm at the 10 a.m. waterline. And so this is great. This is co-opetition. I love it. And my students, we motivate each other as well. We raise the bar. And so she's at 10 a.m. I should be at 10:30 now. I'm still at 8 a.m. It's terrible. Thank you for telling me. Yeah. One of my biggest issues health-wise, I don't drink enough water. Everything else is great. I create the best foods. I take vitamins and everything. But for some reason, I don't know why. Probably bad genes. Mom? I'm just kidding. I love you, Mama. And then Dario wrote here, best webcast ever. Thank you. And I'm trying something different today with these cray lights. And Mom, don't worry, Mom. I'll be okay. Mom, I'm kidding. I even have a fan, Mom. Your son's a nerd with awful dad humor. There we go. Ooh, that looks kind of scary. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark at the very end there. Okay, there you go. Done. I'll even get rid of that annoyingness. And I can also change the background colors as well. Let me change colors. It'd be kind of fun, right? So let's go here. To pink. How's that? That's kind of cool, eh? A little different. Okay. There we go. All right. Next up, Pratik is saying, hey, Chris, what are your thoughts on Notion? I don't even know what that is. If that's a crypto, give me a little bit more details on Notion. I'll give you my humble thoughts. Thanks. All right. Next up, Raquel, who's another one of my amazing MBA degree students, and she brought her wonderful kids on about a month or two ago as well. And Raquel is from Barcelona, which is the most beautiful city in the world. And Raquel is saying, at me and at Jackie and Christina, and I agree with Christina. Thank you, and God bless you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Mom, I hope you're still on. Yeah, thanks. Okay. All right. And then Raquel's saying, at Jackie, Haroun, and my mom, your son, Chris, is the best professor you can have. Thank you. And with the passion that he teaches, how education and charismatic he is. Making the complicated easy. I didn't do that on purpose. That was, it does it sometimes. Making the complicated easy and the joy and happiness that he radiates. Thank you. Raquel, God bless you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Okay, cool. And as I was preparing for all this stuff here, speaking of Barcelona, when I was there in Barcelona visiting, I went like an hour north of the city to Salvador Dali's house. And Salvador Dali had this great quote, which is, if you strive for perfection, you'll never reach it. And so when I'm setting up my studio here, I try to be perfect by making just tons of mistakes. But I completely agree with that. If you strive for perfection, you'll never reach it. Yeah. All right. And let me go and change this here. Sorry, I have fun. I think of teaching like it's art, kind of. Let's make it, I like that, blue. Okay, cool. All right. And then Mina, who's one of my amazing MBA students, she's from Greece originally. She now lives in Cyprus, and she works at Ryanair, which is a wonderful Irish discount carrier. Now, she's creating an amazing video game, and she's doing a lot of networking, and she's networking aggressively to get people to invest, and she's using a lot of the concepts that I talk about. She's awesome. She's an inspiration for all of us. So Asamina, who we all call Mina, is saying, hey, Chris, hope you're using the oil control papers. You are using the oil control papers wrong. You have to tap, not swipe. Oh, these things. Yeah. This is what I use to get rid of the oil in my face before going live. Yeah. Yeah. I was white. Are you saying just tap? Okay. Like this? Ow. I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying to learn how to not look. I shine. I'm shiny. Like that REM song, Shiny Happy People. All right. And then Avi Pro is saying regarding my sign, which is be live instead of be live. Be live in yourself. This can have a meaning. Yeah. Okay, I agree. Next up, we got Kardik. Kardik is saying, hey, Chris, I only have 12 hours of time for the interview. Yeah, Kardik, you can still go and take let me show you. Okay. You could take this really quickly and then get your money back even. It's if you want. So what you do, and let me just go here into incognito mode. So if you go to learn.harounventures.com, you can find all my courses here in my MBA program as well. So what I recommend you do is, hold on a second. Yeah, just take this one here, okay? This one here. It's called Interview Better Than Anyone. I don't know what else to call it. Yeah. So just click here, sign up, and then that's all you need. And I think this one is not that long. Yeah. And what I would do is focus mainly on part 1 here, which I address all weaknesses you think you have, and I turn every weakness into a strength. Okay. And I tell you how to articulate your strengths in the next part as well in this course. And then what you bring to the interview, how to answer any question using frameworks and all that great stuff. Yeah. So take that course. I promise you, I promise you it'll work for you or your money back. Yeah. Okay. I wear my heart on my sleeve. All right. And let's see what else. Kuban Media wrote, God bless your parents, Chris. Thank you. Give me 1 sec. It just jumped on me. Oh, here we go. Good. Okay. God bless your parents, Chris. Many years and health for them. They really may be very proud of their son. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope my mama's still on. I don't know if she is. It's all good, though. Thank you. Next up, Jason is saying, hey, Chris, hope you're doing well. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Just wanted to know, why can't investment banks hire more employees into the investment banking division in order to reduce stress? Yeah, I've always thought about that too. And when I used to work in the consulting sector as well, I used to think to myself, why are they making me work 100-hour weeks at Accenture, where I used to work, good firm? Why would they make me work 100-hour weeks? Can't they just hire more people? Well, the reason is because a lot of times these companies tend to overhire. And then they overfire. They cut into muscle, not just fat. And so they don't know when business is going to pick up materially. They just don't. And when it does pick up, the most efficient way for them from a profit margin perspective to make money is to overwork their employees. And people that work in investment banking, they think it's so glamorous to work 100-hour weeks. There's nothing glamorous about that. You know, it's awful for your health. It's terrible. In fact, people that work, your buddies that are investment bankers, for them, they make as much money as you do per hour. They just work more hours. Yeah. But I think it's just poor planning when companies try to force their employees to work 100 hours a week. Yeah. And if you work for an investment bank, or if anybody on this call is frustrated working for somebody else, good. And I say that with love in my heart, because frustration, leads to reinvention. It forces you to get outside your comfort zone, so to speak, and find a better job where you work fewer hours, or better yet, it forces you to start your own company. And so I believe everybody should be launching companies on the side or writing business plans on the side. And if I can be resourceful in any way to help you start your own company, then I've done my job. I've served my purpose. And you can go here to this web address here, to take my complete business plan course. Or what you can do is you could take, sign up for my MBA degree program where I have what's called a venture capital a bootcamp, so to speak. And that's in the third semester. And let me show you a really quick video about what this venture capital bootcamp is all about. All right. Now, what a lot of YouTubers do is when they film their videos, their vlogs or whatever it is, at one point they freeze towards the end of a video usually, so they can make that the thumbnail image. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'll probably do this and point for the thumbnail image. So give me one second. And I want to do it with a bit of smoke as well, right? So let's go here because I am kind of crazy like that. Whoa. No point. There we go. Done. I'm done with the cover image. It's okay. This is it's not toxic. I did a lot of research. Okay. All right. All right. Let's see what I got here. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Whew. All right. Next question's from Chippo, who's saying, hi, Chris. Where do I start if I want to teach kids from 5 years about stocks and financial literacy? Yeah. So it has to come from within. Like my youngest son, Dylan, he works for me sometimes, and he opened up a Robinhood account, and he buys partial shares in Tesla and other companies. But he actually had an interest in it. And I think a lot of kids are seeing this on TikTok these days. But what I do to make it fun for my kids, and what I bought Andrew, my oldest son, for Christmas years ago, was one share in a company. And I had it framed, and it's on his wall now. And buy one share in a company your kids love, like the Walt Disney Corporation. Or Tesla or whatever it is. So for Andrew, I bought him one share of one share. I didn't do that on purpose. One share of of Manchester United. Let me show you. Okay, so you can buy a share. So buy share of stocks for kids. There's plenty of websites that do this as well. And let me go to images here. Yeah, it corrected me. Yeah, this is where I bought it, actually. I bought it from giveashare.com. This is exactly where I bought it from. And I had a nice, this is the Walt Disney Corporation here. Let me show you that, actually. Let's go there, giveashare.com. And I'm not sponsored by anybody. You guys know that, right? And so you can buy a share in Hershey's, whatever it is for your kids, Virgin Galactic, the Coca-Cola Company, Nike. Every kid will love this one. Okay, let's check this out. Buy one share of Nike for your kids, right? And then it's put in their name. And then down here, you can make a personalized engraving like, Merry Christmas, Andrew, love Mom and Dad, 2017, which is what we had on ours. Yeah. So that's what I would do. So instead of having a picture of a car on the wall or some fathead poster, which kids are doing these days, you can go to giveashare.com and buy a share for your kids. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anurag wrote here, hey, Chris, love your content. How to view technology disruption in the world of finance. Yeah. So thank you. I appreciate that. So what I would do is I'd start to follow people that work in fintech. And so there's a woman I know. She's wonderful. I've met with her a number of times, named Vanessa Colella. And she's the head of Citi Ventures, which is the largest venture capital firm in the world for fintech. And it's part of Citigroup. And I'll show you. Follow smart people. She publishes a lot of stuff on LinkedIn as well on important fintech companies. So go to LinkedIn here, okay? And then when you're in LinkedIn, and I guess I'm in private mode. Let me get out of private mode here. Yeah. So what you can do is do a search on Vanessa and follow her. Okay, so Vanessa, here he is, Colella. Yeah, she's great. Yeah. And so she heads up Citi Ventures. She's fantastic. She's here in Palo Alto. They work in Palo Alto, their office. Yeah. And follow what she says. And she's pretty active. She'll write a lot of articles as well. And also go to see who she follows and maybe follow those people as well. Right. And so she follows a lot of people that are important in the venture capital industry when it comes to fintech. Also that the CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, who finally turned around on Bitcoin. He was bearish for too long. That sort of thing. So find people that are rock stars in fintech and follow them like Vanessa. Yeah. And what you can also do actually is you can go to the websites of venture capital firms like Andreessen Horowitz, which is a16z.com. Why is that the website? Because in between the letter A and Z, or Z in Canada, is 16 letters. And then you can go to their portfolio here and just go through and find fintech companies, okay, and read up on them here as well. Other websites of very successful venture capital firms I recommend going to are sequoiacap.com, sequoiacap.com. Please be right. See here. Hold on a second. Google's going to correct me. That's okay. Sequoia Cap. I know I spelled it wrong. It's a tough one for this old man here to spell correctly. Could I make more mistakes in a live webcast? I'm sure. Here it is here. Sequoia Cap. Yeah. And then when you go to Sequoia's website, and you'll see that they actually show pictures of the entrepreneurs first instead of naming the companies, which comes second, because they know that you invest in people first, and then companies second. Yeah. But if you go to companies here, you'll be able to find all the firms that they have invested in, or currently investing in, and find the fintech ones here and read up on them. And this here is a company I was on the board of, actually. Sequoia led the Series A firm I was at before. We led the Series B. It's going to be a great IPO soon. And the reason we invest is because Mohit Aaron is a rock star. And I can go through that more detail if you want to. The bottom line is go to these websites of these big venture capital firms and see what companies they're investing in right now and learn more about them. And the bottom line is the best venture capital firms on the planet invest in people first and companies second. Because ideas are commodities, but execution is not. All right, next up is Ryan. Ryan is saying, Chris, you're amazing. Thank you. And thank you so much for being an amazing teacher and mentor to so many. God bless you. Thank you. God bless you way, way more, buddy. Thank you. God bless you. Okay. And then Anurag is saying, hello, Chris. How do you disrupt the world? You posted that one twice. Okay, sorry. I answered that one already. And then next up, Dummy Indices is saying, what time do you devote for personal prayer? Prayer is essential for keeping negative entities in check and simulating the right decision making. What is your ideal pray time according to you? Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Because I do believe in prayer or meditation. I believe there's one God. Yeah. So what I do is I pray a lot. So when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do before I open my eyes is I thank God for 10 things in this order always. Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, these are my kids, Christine, my wife, my mom, my dad, my brother, Jamie, my sisters, Katie and Elizabeth. And I reverse those two every now and then, Elizabeth and Katie. And lastly, my students, you. Thank you. So I practice sincere gratitude before getting out of bed every day. And that puts me into a peak mental state. What I also do is, and this is just me, on my iPad, which is hanging over my bed. Years ago, I got into a bad car accident. I'm glad it happened for many reasons. It guided me down a different path in life. but my back is kind of messed up. And so what I do is I have an iPad that's being held like an IV sort of thing. So it's right there. So I do work in the morning in bed before I get up to. But I read one chapter of this book every day. And I'll show you what book it is, only because you're asking. Okay. Every day. So let me go to Amazon and I will show you. Okay. So here it is here. So this is the book here. And I bought it for many people, many of my students over the years that have had issues and stuff. And so it's called Jesus Called. And it's 365 devotions for kids. And the reason I like this book as opposed to the Bible, and this is just me, is because I find that some of the older religious texts are hard to read for me. You know, I just, even the St. James, or the Bible. And so this one is quite simple. And it's quite short too, right? It's like tweetable moments. And so each chapter I read, there's one for each day. And it's literally one paragraph. Let's see if I can get a sample here. Yeah. So right here, right here. So for example, January 2nd, it's just this you read, right? It's in simple terms so that simple people like me can understand it. Yeah. And then what I do is when I put the kids to bed, and my two older kids are too cool for me to spend time with them at night anymore. But my youngest one, Dylan, what we do is we say prayers. And I ask him to thank God for something different every day. And then to bless somebody different every day as well. And he's 11 now, so it's getting tough to thank God for different things. So now he's like, thank God for blue Smarties. No, just kidding. Yeah. So anyway, that's what we do. And then when I go to bed myself, I pray before I go to sleep. Always, yeah. All right. And don't ever worry about anything career-wise in life because God already knows what's going to happen. And that will put you at ease. And you'll live a longer life not having stress as well. And any failure, career failure in quotes, you think you had, you didn't. Because years from now, you're going to look back and say that was a blessing because God guided you down a different path. It's true. There are a lot of very successful people in business that felt very frustrated working for other people. But it's a good thing they felt frustrated. Let me give you an example. This is a fun one. And we do a lot of case studies in my MBA degree program as well. So there was this man, and he lived in Pennsylvania in the 1800s, East Coast United States. And he worked for the Hershey's company, and he had 13 kids. And he couldn't afford to raise 13 kids. It was frustrating. And thank God it was. Because one day he said that I can't provide for my family working for Mr. Hershey. Because you know what it's like. These big companies pay you minimum amount of money to make you stay. And so what he did was he quit and he started his own company. And he made a company that now has a candy bar that's more successful than any of Hershey's candy bars. And that man's name was Mr. Reese's. And Reese's Peanut Butter Cups is the best damn candy on the planet. I love it. And oddly enough, the Hershey's Corporation bought it in the 1930s. And Hershey's #1 selling chocolate bar is not a Hershey bar. It's Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, which are so good. Okay. All right. And then Amruth is saying, do you really think the Ivy League MBA degree is really worth it? I think it's an absolute waste of money. It's ridiculous, actually. Hold on. Let me show you guys this. And this is supposed to be for tomorrow. And my mom is going to freak out. Mom, if you're still watching, turn off what I'm about to do, okay? Because this is going to be out there, and you're going to get really, really worried. And just in case, before I make a fool of myself, I can have this handy. And by the way, if you guys have kids, you have to buy these and put them in every room where the kids sleep, right? Or the kitchen, wherever there's a plug. It's called Stop Fires Fast. Now you know what I'm going to do next. And basically, kids can carry this. It's light enough. And then spray it if need be. The other one, show your kids like one of those old traditional fire extinguisher. They're big. Kids can't carry them, and they can't push this. This is the Fortnite generation. Yeah. So A traditional MBA. See if I can put this right here. And what I'll do is I'll raise this table up here. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. A traditional MBA. You know how much it costs you? It costs you $100,000. That's what it costs you. A traditional MBA. It's a waste of money. They teach you stuff that was relevant maybe, I don't know, last decade or last century, I should say. It's totally not worth it. And I can't find where my matches are, so I'm not going to do it. My mom is probably thinking that the Lord works in mysterious ways. But I'm going to light this on fire tomorrow, okay? Which is one of the reasons why I have this fog here, okay? Pretending smoke. And Mom, it's at 11 a.m. If you want to watch your son start a fire live, it's 11 a.m. tomorrow. But it's $100,000. $100,000. So probably a good thing I can't find the letter. It's here somewhere. Okay, anyway. Okay. My mom won't have a heart attack now. It's good. All right. Damn. I want to play with that too because it looks so cool when I change the dramatic lighting like that. Yeah, that was a chaser. I didn't plan that one. Yeah, but I'll do that tomorrow. So join me tomorrow if you want to see me start a fire. Yeah, stick with me, kids. You'll go far. All right, but the stuff they teach you in business school, it's just not relevant. They don't teach you the most important skills like how to sell, how to start a company. That's right. Ask your buddies at graduate business school and ask them, do they teach you how to start a company? No. They don't teach you how to interview. They don't teach you how to network. They don't teach you how to present. These are all important skills. They don't teach you how to manage your own money. They teach you how to manage other people's money. I remember a couple of years after I graduated, I had to call my parents and say, Mom, Dad, how does a mortgage work? I have an MBA in finance from a top school too. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Scared? Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see here. All right, next up, Ryan is saying, hey, Chris, really quick, do you recommend giving C-suite executives any equity? I do. And so for those of you not familiar with C-suite or a C-level executive, it means CEO, CFO, CMO, CTO, etc. Let me turn the fan on here. Yeah, I think everybody should get equity though, so that everyone's interests are aligned, right? So there's a financial incentive for everybody to work together as a team to maximize their own collective net worth. Absolutely. And then you wrote here, do you recommend using an executive search firm or find someone all by yourself? Thank you. Yeah. If it's a C-level executive, that's a really important decision because the wrong CEO can destroy a company. I recommend using an executive search firm if you can, or a consulting firm like Towers Perrin, which is like the McKinsey of HR. Yeah. Next up, Anurag is saying, hello, Chris. How do you view technology disrupting the world of finance? And how should one upskill themselves to stay relevant? Yeah. So I really think that technology is going to disintermediate and get rid of almost all trading jobs, meaning execution. So on a trading floor, the sales trader role, meaning the person that matches buy and sell orders for big institutions, that's going to be almost completely disintermediated by technology or replaced. Now, most jobs in finance are sales-oriented jobs. And so I don't think computers can ever replace relationships. And so if you're thinking about what roles in finance will not be replaced by technology in the long run, I would think relationship-oriented roles. Yeah, I would focus on those. But anything that's repetitive, like trading, execution, whatnot, that will be replaced. Kind of like how the bank teller was replaced by the guichet, which is French for bank machine, or bank machine in English, ATM. Yeah. All right. We used to call it that when I used to live in Montreal, guichet. And then Manas wrote, like mom, like son. Great mom, great son. Thank you. And Mom, I hope you're still on. Please. I want approval, Mommy. Please. Just kidding. I love you, Mama. Okay. Next up, Ryan is saying, I love Chris and his setup. He's so fun and just overall great and amazing teacher. You're truly outstanding. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I have made an idiot of myself today with this. You have to admit, it's kind of fun though, right? All right. And tomorrow, join me tomorrow. I've got a fan here. I'm really hooked on this whole DMX lighting thing, man. I'm having a blast here. I'm having a lot of fun. Look at that. It's a little crazy, huh? Yeah. Join me tomorrow, everybody. And just go to my website, harounventures.com to sign up. There's going to be a free course, other freebies, and I will start a fire in this office. I will, yeah. And nothing is impossible. And Audrey Hepburn, who's a wonderful actress, God bless her, she's no longer with us. She said, nothing is impossible. The word impossible starts with I am. I apostrophe am. I'm possible. Yeah. And then Mina wrote here, Chris, remember to tell your wife, Ronia Pola, because it's Greek. That's right. And my wife is half Greek. Yeah. Because it's Greek Independence Day, 200 years after the revolution today. I will, thanks. Yeah. And I'm wearing a flanella today. My wife, she's half Greek. The other half is Palestinian. But my wife, she's half Greek. When she dresses the kids in the morning, or she used to say, put your flanella on, which is t-shirt, I guess, in Greek. I don't know many other Greek words. I know prika as well, which is before a wedding. It's I guess a box of stuff. Okay. And by the way, when these other little chasers come up like this, a little smoke, that's not me. It just, I gotta, yeah. Anyway. All right. And then Mina is saying, Chris, if you want, we could arrange a makeup consultation. I need all the help I can get. Yeah. And earlier on, if you're wondering what Mina's referring to, I was explaining how I get rid of shiny face with this thing here. Yeah. And then Manas wrote, I'm an Englishman in New York. That's actually my favorite song. Sting wrote that song. I love it. And he said, it takes a man to suffer ignorance and smile. Be yourself, no matter what they say. I love that song. Love that. And Sting is great, man. Yeah. Okay. And then Christina is saying, great idea regarding the give a share. And you wrote, I will give a share of Walt Disney for Isabella for her 8th birthday in September. Then I can teach her about stocks and investing. Awesome. It's smart. Yeah. And it's so much better to have that in your wall as well, because that asset goes up in value. Yeah. And it's fun. Yeah. All right. And Valenz just said, hey, Chris, we can't see the screen. Did I mess something up? And Valenz is, I haven't heard from you in a while, man. Hope you're doing well. He graduated from my MBA program last year. He lives in New Zealand, but his family is from Indonesia, and he's awesome. Good to see you, man. All right. Next up, Christina is saying, Chris, thank you for recommending Jesus Calling. 365 devotions for kids book for me to share with Isabella to teach her about God and prayers. Yeah. And I think it's great for, like, in my students, only if they tell me they're Christian, and they have issues and whatnot. I've sent the book to tons of them all over the world. Yeah. Digital and physical versions. Yeah. And it's easier to understand too, I think, for me. Yeah. Frederick, who's one of my amazing MBA students, Frederick Mendoza, is saying, hey, everyone, hope you're doing well. Next up, we just have a couple minutes left, and then we have to wrap it up. And if people have additional questions, you can always ask me tomorrow on the webcast. And tomorrow's webcast, again, the way to access it is you go here to my website, go to harouneducation.com. And then you can click here to register for the free web class. It starts tomorrow at 11 a.m. my time. And then you click here to reserve your spot, and you have to reserve your spot if you want to get access to the free course. And there's something else I'm giving away at an insanely low price. And actually, I will be talking about my MBA program. And tomorrow, and my marketing folks didn't want me to mention this, but tomorrow, what I'm going to mention during the call is I'm selling my MBA degree program for the lowest price it's ever going to be, and then we're raising prices forever, and it'll never be as low as it's going to be tomorrow. Okay, and that's just for tomorrow's webcast. Yeah. Okay, next up, Yakir is saying, I purchased 3 of your courses. Thank you. And then you wrote, and I'm afraid you'll share one of them tomorrow. Is there a solution to this? If not, I'll be happy anyway, just because of the participation with you. Thank you. Yeah. I hope you're happy. I think you'll enjoy it tomorrow. It'll be fun. Again, I will be starting a fire. Just kidding. We'll be having fun. I'm trying to make it theatrical as well, which is why I've got flashing lights and also this DMX lights that are moving on the side, which are so cool, man. I'm like a kid in a candy store, man. I'm having fun today. I always have fun when I teach. All right, let me go back here. All right. Next up, Dummy Indices is saying, I had a career in physics, dear mentor. I turned to be a believer after reading Unification Physics. The moment I started praying, the stress that plagued my life suddenly vanished. I love that. I have to read that again. The moment I started praying, the stress that plagued my life suddenly vanished. God bless you, man. What a wonderful thing to say. You know, and for me, I don't worry about anything in business because I know in my heart that God already knows what's going to happen, you know, which puts me at ease. It helps you live longer, too, to think that way. And Winston Churchill once said, I knew a man who on his deathbed talked about all the worries he had in his life, none of which came true. And just as you look at your career failures, you know, it's time to, you know, change the lens by which you see the world. As you think of your career failures, see them as blessings in hindsight, and you've been guided down a different path. It'll all make sense in the long run. Don't worry. Just enjoy the destination. The journey, not just the destination. And stop and smell the roses along the way. Don't work your ass off your whole life just so you can enjoy your last 10 years of retirement, whatever. What an awful way to live. You know, allow me to humbly be the conduit to help you find what you're most passionate about so you can live your life on your own terms. And I feel that my job is, I feel like my job is, I'm a waiter, okay? And this is where I proposed to my wife, right close to Maxime's in Paris. Because I didn't want her to say no. She said yes. Yeah. We're still married today. MBA does not stand for married but available. Okay. But I feel like my job is I'm a waiter. Okay. And I expose you to all major careers. And you choose what you want, but I want to expose you to what business is like in many different careers. So you can find something to do career-wise that you're incredibly happy about. And the worst thing that can happen is, again, work your ass off your whole life just so you can retire and enjoy your money in your last couple of years. That's awful. I don't want you to do that. And for those of you, and this is completely off topic, but for those of you with small kids, when you go on a walk with your kids in the stroller or whatever it is, and you're feeling stressed out, and an older person looks at you and smiles, what they're saying to you is, those were great days. Enjoy them. So enjoy every moment, because by the time your child is 12 years old, you've already spent 90% of the time you'll ever spend with them. Enjoy every second. That's my alarm. I have to wrap up today's call. If there's more questions, please ask me next week. God bless you. Have a great weekend. And please join us tomorrow. Go to my website, harounventures.com. to sign up for tomorrow's webcast. You won't want to miss it. There's going to be theatrics. There's going to be fires. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff. So thanks again, everybody. And as I always do, I end a webcast with this video that I licensed from the Silicon Valley Historical Association. It's a Steve Jobs video that'll change your life. God bless you. Thank you.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it, that's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.